No KRS-One said, Hawk, you want to get down with BDP? You got to take this test. You know what I mean? I was ready. Here you go. Make some from nothing by uttering the word. Niggas don't get it? I must be stuttering from the herb. Y'all be cluttering in the burbs. Hovering with nerds. I'm trying to build shelter from the oncoming purge. Donald Trump is tripping. I'm trying to stay the surge. Do it for the bricks. But first, laugh and market merge. Get my brothers out the county. See the city reemerge. I'm trying to keep it straight. My people living on the curb. Motherfucker got to nerve. Must not have heard. I'm tired of the pimps pushing fiends in the pervs. Fire with the bars, metaphors, and the verbs. I wanna see them go to college, not make them whores on the curb. So disturbed, so stay high as a bird. Niggas want this smoke, and you'll get served. I'm sick with technique, I'm ill with the maneuver. DJs want my effect like they were straight out the sewer. I talk, I'm a doer. Find me in the viewer. I'm so underground, you're just the Barbie in the sewer. I'm a grown man in this young world, I feel like I'm Rick the Ruler. I'm trying to get all these bars, but I'm not Robert Mueller. The rhymes I say, sharp as a nail. Witty as can be and not for sale. Always funky fresh, could never be stale. Took a test to become an MC and didn't fail. The rhymes I say, sharp as a nail. Witty as can be and not for sale. I'm DMC to quickly blaze them with a run. Pressure on y'all, shrivel up, raising in the sun. I could blaze you with the gun, rather raise you like the one. In the hood, y'all sweat it out, but I remain a champion. Smoky like the bear, bring fire to your camp when I light up the air like wires in a lamp. Coke in your ear, hit a fire and get amp. I got that choke, keep it near, always fire when I jam. My flow absolute style classic, got the proof. 0 to 100 on the ledge like the roof. Make them disappear out of thin air, they go poof. Facts come and go, Hakeem remains the truth. The rhymes I say, sharp as a nail. Witty as can be and not for sale. Always funky fresh, could never be stale. Took a test to become an MC and didn't fail. I drop jewels. Science, mathematics, language arts, social studies, lyrical gymnastics, style, charismatic, pragmatic with the sentence structure. Smile is aromatic, fanatic with the ism structure. Facts to the subject, how I school MCs. I get checks off the blue cheese. UMCs, they used to call me powder, then I blew UNC. Taking y'all back to school like fools in truancy. I rock with the teacher like the board education. Fuck doc with the reefer, got a script for medication. Get A's for dedication on my way to graduation. Hand in hand like diplomas rolled up, congratulations. The rhymes I say, sharp as a nail. Witty as can be and not for sale. Always funky fresh, could never be stale. Took a test to become an MC and didn't fail. The rhymes I say, sharp as a nail. Witty as can be and not for sale. Always funky fresh, could never be stale. Took a test to become an MC and didn't fail.
Pop, you want to get down with BDP? You got to take this test.
Keep that.
Cause the rhymes I say, sharp as the nail. Witty as could be and not for sale. Always funky fresh, could never be stale. Took a test to become an MC and didn't fail. Big shout out to the legends, Run DMC. Of course, rest in peace, Jam Master Jay. Salute to the legendary Peter Guns, who's in the building. Salute to you, my guy. I see you putting it down, still in the booth, still putting out some great music, still elevating the bar. You know what I mean? I love what you got going on. You know, we're gonna talk about the state of hip hop and the disrespect that the legends are having to endure, and we're not standing for that. But we're gonna have that conversation with our brother NY Oil. You know, we got a lively show set up for you on the Hakeem Green Show. Big shout out to Jamel Ridgway, aka Vita. What up, Vita? It's my producer. She's in the background doing what she does, helping this thing move forward. Big shout out to my wife, Jasmine. Of course, everybody out there supporting the Hakeem Green Show, Madison Sports. Big shout out to you guys. I need everybody to like, subscribe, hit that bell, share the stream, let people know what we're doing. Peace to the God, Cool Kim, the MC, aka NY Oil. We're gonna bring you in a little later. We got like a little current event segment that we start the week off with every Wednesday. Take the half hour to kind of just, you know, talk about what's going on in the world of, you know, entertainment, culture, politics, community, society, so forth and so on. Just some hot topics. And then, you know, we're going to bring Cool Kim in so we can get into his history as a legendary MC. Yeah, tuned in. The mighty Peter Guns is in the building. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So, that said, Vita, what we got lined up for this week's current event segment? We like to kind of do a Russian roulette, let Vita throw the topics out at us. The GOAT, the GOAT. And I'm not talking about Jafar Jackson, though I want to give that young brother a big salute. Of course, his father is Jermaine Jackson, one of the older brothers of the GOAT, Michael Jackson. This movie, Michael, is in theaters right now, and there's been some pretty good reviews. All in all, I'd say the reviews have been decent. I haven't seen the movie, and I refuse to see the movie. I am not going to see that movie because as it's like Mike was a threat to the music business. I credit Mike to be the solely, individually, the greatest figure in music business history. Notice I said business, music business history. He's the greatest of all time as an artist, as a singer, songwriter, producer, dancer, performer, actor, philanthropist. But who he is as a music business, a businessman. Like, he did something that, Black artists especially are not supposed to be able to do. And that's take on the record labels, take on the publishing companies, take on these institutions and win and beat them at their own game, and end up owning half of Sony Music Publishing, or Sony ATV. The ATV portion was Michael Jackson's company estate, and then the Sony catalog was a shared venture. He ended up owning a great deal of the Beatles publishing. There's an old story about he and Paul McCartney being close friends. Of course, doing "The Girl Is Mine," which was the first single off the Thriller album, and that story in and of itself is like so brilliant. But him doing that record, that song with Paul McCartney, and then kind of just taking notes and listening to Paul McCartney break down publishing and how publishing works, and Mike, soaking it all in to the point where he went and bought the Beatles publishing out from under Paul McCartney. Another company actually owned it, and they were making bids for the rights of it. I think Paul McCartney had a bid in, but Michael Jackson outbid everybody and ended up owning the Beatles publishing. And that kind of threw a monkey wrench in his relationship, his friendship with Paul McCartney. I was listening to David Banner on Cam Newton's show. It was a clip about, athletes and jumping around from team to team and doing what's best for an athlete's business. And then David Banner, bringing up Michael Jackson and how, his business savvy and understanding that it's much more than being an entertainer, but it's intellectual property, it's ownership, your name, image, likeness, your publishing, these songs that, you're creating, or, we're creating as artists, owning that, owning your masters, owning the business side of yourself. He showed us how to do it as not just Black artists, but as artists across the board. Like I say, I really want folks to kind of dig in to the history of Michael Jackson as a businessman. And the movie Michael doesn't touch on any of that really. It covers him as a child coming up under Joe Jackson and the Jackson tutelage, parenting, his struggles with his dad. It covers his the off the wall years, the Thriller years. They don't really get too much into the Diana Ross piece, from what I hear. But the movie ends in 1988, and this is before he was making these brilliant business moves. Of course, it doesn't cover the 90s when we get into him being accused of being a pedophile and the accusations that were being thrown at him. And then in 2025, 2026, we see the Epstein files released, and we see Michael Jackson being mentioned in the Epstein files as really a thorn in the side of the Epstein class, and him protecting these kids, these babies, Macaulay Culkin has always maintained Michael Jackson was nothing but a gentleman, nothing but respectful, nothing but a protector of children. Also, Corey Feldman, when pressed on Michael Jackson being a pedophile, always pushed back and was felt disrespected that would even ever come up because there were so many others that were, abusive of children, pedophiles, and as such. And Corey Feldman went on a mission to kind of out these people and name these people, and he was pushed to the side. He was laughed at. He was ridiculed. He was kind of not taken seriously, and he's been carrying these accusations for like 20 some odd years. And when Michael Jackson's name came up, it was always like, get out of here with that. Michael Jackson was nothing but a gentleman, nothing but respectful, nothing but a pure-hearted soul who was watching over young people throughout the 90s and the 80s and the 90s. And we know the stories of Michael Jackson not really having a childhood and him, looking at children in a certain way where he wanted to provide them the kind of the fun and the outlet as a child that he never had. And, a lot of us laughed at Mike and thought Mike was weird and wacko jacko, that whole thing, and Oprah doing the interview. It was just a really sad state of affairs how mainstream media and press dealt with and treated Michael Jackson. And for not any of those things to be covered in the movie, to me, just seems disingenuous on the producers, the makers, the creators of this movie. I don't want to throw any shade necessarily at Jermaine Jackson, though we know Mike, had issue with the families, the brothers throughout the years. Janet Jackson's non-participation, she's gone on record and saying that, she felt weird about really supporting this movie project. His daughter also has publicly spoken out and said that she feels some type of way about this movie. So, that said, I'm not going to support it. I grew up with Michael Jackson. He is literally the greatest of all time. Any slander in regards to any other artist being greater than Michael Jackson is just that. It is slander. I think Mike's in a class by himself. The only artist in my book that even comes close is Prince. Some people have Prince as a greater artist, musician, creative than Mike. And I get that because, Prince is a genius, and Prince did a lot in his own business career to kind of rectify some of the missteps he made as a younger artist. I think following in the footsteps of Michael Jackson, really putting it down, can't front on Prince. But in my book, nothing compares to Michael Jackson. It's that he's the end all and be all when it comes to artistry, musicianship, just voice, standing up for principle. Now, that said, we see what's going on in Palestine, free Palestine. We see the issues that are happening around Zionism and Judaism. And Mike said 1993, early, free Palestine. And some people suspect that a lot of the pedophile accusations came as a result of Mike's stance on principle. Mike's catalog when it comes to revolution music and standing up for what's right. I mean, his, everything from We Are the World as a co-writer, co-producer, to, They Don't Really Care About Us, the Free Palestine song he created, and a whole host of other songs that represented upliftment. Mike is in a class by itself. If you've seen the movie, please chime in. Let me know what you thought about it. You can comment. I'm not angry at others for supporting the movie. I get it, but I'm not going to do that. Allhiphop.com. Big shout out to Chuck Creekmer. Peace, God. Peace, God. All Hip Hop TV, no doubt. Says the movie was great. Certainly not perfect, but loved it. Also, there's a lot to unpack, but overall, it was celebratory. So, yeah, salute to them. I'm glad it wasn't a negative. It's not because that VH1. What was that, babe? Was that? No, not that movie. I'm talking about the old Michael Jackson movie. My boy Flex Alexander. Big shout out to Flex Alexander. The Lifetime movie. There you go. The Lifetime movie on Michael Jackson. Flex is my boy. Big shout out to him. That's my brother. But Flex as Michael Jackson was Fugazi. So I do think they got it right with casting Jafar, a family member, and looks like, young Mike. Well, Flex looked crazy. They had him in the wig, the Jerry curl wig and shit. Had the makeup. Motherfuckers looking. Oh man, shouts to Flex, no doubt. Yeah, so that's Michael Jackson. Michael. What else we got, Vita? Ice. Oh, good transition. Good transition. We got the Drake project, and of course, the album cover is the Michael Jackson glove held up with the white power symbol. Oh man, strange world we live in today. Strange world we live in today. Now, when it comes to Drake, to me, it's six in one hand, half a dozen in the other. And I say that especially transitioning from the Michael Jackson, conversation. I would have to say that with this last move that he made against Universal, giving him the last 3 albums he owed, now he's a free agent. I hear a private equity company has offered Drake a $2 billion deal. When your starting offers $2 billion, like you're doing something right. So that type of movement to me is in the Michael Jackson conversation of business. It ain't Mike, but relatively speaking, I like to see moves being made like that from artists, be they black, white, red, black, brown. It don't matter. Anytime an artist can stake their claim and drive the commerce, I'm with it. The White House Post MAGA edit of Drake's new Iceman cover. Now, the White House, Trump's team has adopted the album cover through a MAGA chain in his hand. They're kind of claiming Drake, the name of the album or the first album. I don't know. There's 3 different projects. I don't know if they have 3 different names or how he did that. But the Iceman cometh. And we know ICE as a law enforcement organization chasing down, black and brown immigrants through the streets of America for the last couple of years has been on everybody's mind. So for Drake to align himself with the MAGA right, with the Iceman project, with them embracing him and adopting him, that's kind of troublesome. However, at the same time, Jay-Z and the Rock Nation halftime Super Bowl whole thing with Kendrick Lamar, not the last Super Bowl, but the Super Bowl before last, that whole demonstration have the whole world calling Drake a pedophile. Drake is like, you know what I mean? Oh, word, that's how y'all see me? Oh, all right, we'll see what it is. And Isaac Hayes III kind of detailed that whole thing like, what do you expect, more or less? You can't really be mad at Drake for aligning himself with that side when we've kind of pushed him over there. We've kind of made, those of us on the left have kind of pushed Drake in that direction. I'm definitely not comfortable with it, but at the same time, he's making business moves for himself. So what he's going to do what benefits Drake. And if that's what he feels like he needs to do, that's what it is. On May 15th, Drake became Spotify's most streamed artist of 2026 in a single day. Iceman became the most streamed album of 2026 in a single day, and Make Them Cry became the most streamed song in a single day in 2026 so far. Now, what I've heard is that initial day was huge for Drake. It was huge. But the day after, there was like a 70% drop off. So I was having a conversation about, this new wave of hip hop or rap music. Fans put one of Drake's new verses on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air beat. I haven't heard that. Hold that. Pause that for a second, Vita. So we were doing the knowledge on Drake's first day numbers and how there was this huge drop off afterward, right? So we were doing the knowledge, like us coming up in the 80s, in the 90s, it used to be like the core fan base of hip hop, not the core fan base of an artist. The core fan base of hip hop culture would go through music and then co-sign it or not. And if it was co-signed by the core fan base of hip hop culture, it could get past the commercial filters, the industry gatekeepers would get behind it. Like the streets would co-sign it, and then it would make its way to commercial success. Nowadays, especially with the bigger artists, it's like that first day, mainstream kind of embraces it, and then the core crew of hip hoppers, we get to decide. Then, nah, we not feeling that. Nah, we not fucking with that. And the word is about Iceman and the other projects that he released is that they don't really add up. They're not really living up to the fanfare that comes along with Drake. You know, Drake's been, if not the hottest artist, one of the hottest artists over the last 20 years, you know, consistently putting hit after hit after hit after hit after hit. And, you know, people digesting this particular offering, you know, I'm getting, you know, for the most part, bad reviews on what he released. Maybe that was a part of the play because it was his last project under the Universal system. And he just gave them any old thing. But, you know, the streets don't look at it that way. You know, you get judged by what you put out. And so far, people aren't really digging it, though I did hear one song that I was feeling. And he was spitting some bars. I love the flows on it. I don't know what the name of it is, but I was impressed by that one song. But that's one song. All right, what you got for me, Vita?
What Nike shoes, I got a mic to use to talk bad about you pussies, I don't like you fools. Got an Oakland show tonight, baby. My young boys from the yacht going crazy. I'm on a bridge with a tank unleaded. I pull up early to that bitch was yanking already. I said yang in the city and I really got rank. You see the back to the front, you getting spanked. I really blow in.
Nah, that ain't it, my bro. That's not it. That's not it. And we're gonna have this conversation later on when I get NY Oil on, aka Kool Kim, just about how the rap game has changed. I like to compare the new era of rap music, the new era of mainstream rap music, compared to the old school rap hip hop culture, to The Godfather Part 1 and 2 and the Shrek series. Now, I like Shrek. I think Shrek's hilarious. Eddie Murphy's like, he's the man. He can't do any wrong as the donkey. Shrek has some compelling storylines. You know, Shrek, I love Shrek. It ain't The Godfather. It just ain't The Godfather. The Godfather 1 and 2 is probably the best franchise ever, greatest movie film franchise ever. Number 3 was but 1 and 2, we haven't seen anything close to The Godfather 1 and 2 since. That's how I feel about, you know, my generation's form of hip hop and this generation's form of rap music. This form of rap music, this new shit they doing, that shit is Shrek to me. That shit we just heard from Drake, that shit is Shrek. And it's cute, but it's for the kids. When I say the kids, I'm talking about it's like a cartoon. It's for the babies. It ain't like, you know, it ain't really for an adult. You know, I'm not as an adult really gonna go too deep in what Drake has to offer. It's very, very silly to me. It's cute. Yeah, I could party to it. I could be at a spot, nod my head, bob to it. It's cute. You know, the chicks love it. All right, cool. But I'm not really trying to invest too much time in figuring out Drake bars. I'm just not doing it. That's just me. You know, I get his success. I get his presence in the mainstream. I understand why he's so successful and why he streams so much and why he sells so much. I get it. But for a mature mind with mature taste, he just doesn't do it for me. You know, I ain't really riding with it. But we're going to talk about this more with my brother NY Oil when he comes on, because as a legendary MC in his own right, somebody who carries that MC torch seriously, you know, I want to get some perspective from him. But yeah, that's my take on Drake and his whole setup. What else you got for us, Vita? Trump administration announces a $1.7 billion slush fund to compensate political allies, namely participants in the January 6th insurrection. I really wanted to talk about this because, reparations for Black people, African Americans, Indigenous people, so forth and so on, Negroes, Blacks, and colors, has been laughed at. That conversation has been on the table since the 70s. More so now over the last 5 to 10 years than ever. I love the fact that we've been pushing the issue to the point where we've even gotten presidential candidates to have to debate reparations, but it's dismissed in the mainstream conversation. We're laughed at. We're pushed to the side. They tell us what can't happen, what we shouldn't expect from national politicians, i.e. Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden. I'm gonna throw him in the mix. This little trick that Trump's pulling by basically stealing 1.8 billion, let's just round up to 2 billion, to give to participants of January 6th insurrection. I don't want to ever hear any politician, local or national, tell us why we can't have reparations. And I know they're never going to give us reparations. Reparations have to be taken. That means we have to put people in office, lawmakers, Congress people, senators in office that's going to be down with the reparation movement, or they should not get our support. I'm going to put that out there. I know it's, it's the lesser of two evils. Oh, we can't expect them to do anything specifically for Black people. Nah, nope, If Black people don't step up, they don't enter the presidency. It's always Black people having to save the day. If this clown motherfucker can give these fucking criminals $2 billion to chop up and divide amongst themselves, reparations has to be something on the table, or there's just going to be problems. So that's a real conversation that we have to have. Vita, I want you to play this this video by Ted Lieu about Trump's $1.8 billion, $2 billion taxpayer slush fund. Let's see what he has to say. Our guest is in the building, so I don't want to spend too much time on this, but reparations has to be a thing, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, let me tell you a little bit about why this nearly $1.8 billion taxpayer funded slush fund is completely unethical and totally ridiculous. First of all, it came as a result of a settlement between the IRS and the Department of Justice. Well, it turns out both those agencies are the same entity because they both report to Donald Trump. So it's like settling with yourself. And with these fake negotiations and this fake settlement, magically appears nearly $1.8 billion to pay people who have been convicted of crimes. This is completely unethical. The people drafting this document know it's unethical. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche will lose his law license after his term is over because he's engaging in flatly unethical behavior. You can't have a fake settlement with fake negotiations with essentially one entity negotiating against itself and then just paying out taxpayer money that Congress never authorized to go to criminals.
Just the mere fact that that has gotten this far is proof enough that we got to lean on the reparations issue because our community needs to be repaired. It takes money to do it. It takes programs to do it. It takes education to do it. It takes social services to do it. It takes healthcare to do it. Our community, more than any other community in this country, needs a focused plan of repair. We call it reparations, but we're looking to build ourselves up and get what we deserve, making this nation one of the greatest nations on the face of the planet ever in history. That said, our guest is in the building. Before I bring the brother in, I just want to preface his introduction by saying that I had retired from rapping in 2001. As an artist, as an MC, I fell back. A lot of reasons that I'll get to in another show, but I fell back and I became highly, how can I say, I was not happy with the state of the culture. I wasn't happy with the direction. I saw where we were going, and now that we're here in 2026 with the culture and the state of rap music, myself and others like myself, namely our guest, we were right the whole time. Big shout out to Wise Intelligent. Is another brother who's been holding that torch. And when this brother put out this song that I'm gonna play before I bring him on, it put a battery in my back, and I got back to writing. It was that and a few other things that kind of went down. The name of the song is "They Should All Get Lynched." Hold on one second. Where we at? Hold on. Wait a minute. Vita, I need you to take down the other media from the. Let me see what we have. We can remove. Let me see. Let me do this over. Because I need the people to see this video and song because it is so impactful. And the more things change, the more they stay the same. And to me, this is so true with this particular song. Let me see. There we go. Okay.
Yo, all y'all bullshit MCs. Y'all are on notice. Pay very close attention. The Drop Squad is on its way for you. Word on.
You're quite hostile.
Y'all should all get lynched.
You're quite hostile.
This the best y'all can come up with? You ain't shit.
Self-serving, you're not serving, it's not working. Leave them hurting, them blood vessels burst in the first, and I was cursing. What the fuck just happened? Got your hairline split and we was only rapping. I tapped yours for the cause, my claws are sharper than yours. This lion roars as he was against nature's laws. Crabs in the barrel, y'all can all get pinched. And yo, that fried that chicken nigga need to get lynched. And all you cool ass rappers, y'all should all get lynched. And all you fake ass gangsters, y'all should all get lynched. Because Malcolm X died for you to act like this. And Martin Luther King died for you to act like this. And if you brag about killing your brothers, you're bullshit. And all you whore ass bitches, y'all can suck my dick. Cause Huey Newton got killed for you to act like this. And it's the best you could come up with. Bitch, people's floating for a week on New Orleans streets. And only Kanye West wasn't scared to speak. Which is deep, cause ghetto niggas is quick to beat with other niggas that they think they can beat. Nigga bid 3 times, he don't give a fuck. Try to write things, stumble just once, he giving up. Plus niggas love excuses are useless. But it's dumb when it comes to the good ones, they ruthless. Brother home from college, this nigga ain't shit. Nigga come home from jail, yeah, y'all all on his dick. Picnic and barbecuing and celebrating for nothing. Even Africans is calling y'all niggas. Ain't that something?
Y'all should all get lynched. Y'all could all get lynched. Y'all should all get lynched. This the best y'all can come up with?
So all you fake thug rappers, y'all should all get lynched. And all you coon ass rappers, y'all should all get lynched. Barry Gordy paved the way for y'all to act like this. Nina Simone walked away so you can act like this. And all you dumb ass bros, y'all deserve what you get. Cause a good man ain't shit if you dare to be legit. Oprah Winfrey broke her back so you can act like this. And it's the best you can come up with. Ain't shit. Oh dear, my dear, who's on Chris this year? He won't have none of this shit next year, I fear. On YouTube, black girls left the hall for free. With a thong up her ass yelling, notice me. With your tits popping out, hoping someone to bless you. Bitch hoes get pimped, not treated special. I saw this porn online, shit blew my mind. Had to be the biggest disrespect of all time. I mean, come on, y'all niggas take a whole lot of shit. But when the brothers say something, y'all quick to bitch. Y'all backstab each other, cut a brother's neck. And then you wonder why niggas gets no respect. So all you sell out niggas, y'all should all get lynched. And all y'all ignorant rappers, y'all should all get lynched. Bambaataa made a way so y'all can act like this. And Kool Herc made a way so y'all can act like this. And all you rappers telling lies, y'all should all get lynched. And all your times in disguise, y'all should all get lynched. Grandmaster cut fast and you act like this. And it's the best you could come up with. You ain't shit.
Got the mighty Kool Kim from the UMCs. Otherwise known as NY Oil, my brother. What's up, guys?
My man. What's up, Hakim? How you feeling, Cash? You all right?
I'm doing great, brother. I'm doing great. I got NY Oil on the show. and it's a lot to talk
Yeah,
about. So
yeah, long time coming, man. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, let's start from the very, very beginning. I like to give people context when it comes to this hip hop culture thing. Where you from, and how'd you get down with the thing called hip hop?
From Staten Island, New York, born in Brooklyn, raised in Staten Island, so I claim Staten Island. And I came in. I got into hip hop like pretty much like all of us. One day I got access to the sacred tomes of hip hop. One form of fashion for me. My old mom, who was a police officer, she came home with a Xerox. Back in the day, remember we used to get Xerox before we was calling copies, or this is the first internet. Is that you would Xerox something and it just get passed around like a note, So she came home with a Xerox copy of the words to Rapper's Delight.
Damn.
And for her generation, it was like a novelty song. But for me, man, it unlocked something in me, and it was like, I remember just like getting it, you know what I'm saying, and being like, like the words was coming off the screen, off the paper, and it just was like, how they be having the memes where they be seeing all the numbers of that's how just all this was like overwhelming, man. And I knew I just loved it, man. I wanted to be that, you know what I'm saying? And over the years, seeing different artists catch wreck, I just knew I wanted to be that, man. I felt like I could do it, you know what I'm saying? So I tried my best.
Right. It's funny because "Rapper's Delight" is the first rap song. It's the first song that I wrote word for word, the whole song. I'm talking about the whole 14 minutes. It was two different versions. I'm talking about the minute joint. It was like two. Yeah. So it was like, it was something extremely special for myself. But I like to, because I know you from the dance world as well as being a dancer.
Yes.
And I think you also write graffiti, do you?
I had a moment. I was in art and design for a little while, so yeah, I had that in my DNA as well. But I of the 5 elements, you know what I'm saying, I think that graffiti is my least proficient.
Okay, well, you said the 5 elements.
Yes, I say because they say it's MC, B-boy, DJ, and graffiti, but I also acknowledge knowledge itself. You know what I'm saying, is one of the elements of hip hop.
Yeah, I got a whole conversation around that. I get pushback from Rich Nice about this. And I say knowledge is, to me, the first element. Because if you don't do the knowledge, you could do nothing else.
I think KRS-One, he captured it well. It's like, when you look at the word hip hop, and even though when it was said, it wasn't the intent, but I think sometimes the values of words morph in time and we begin to extrapolate more meaning in words, right? So he was saying something to the extent that, hip hop, it starts off with being hip. You gotta know what's what. You know what I'm saying? And then hop is the verb. You gotta move in, in the actions of it. You know what I'm saying? And so I always thought that was, saying, Chris will hit one every so often. I was like, yeah, that's one right there. You have that right there. Like that's it right there, King.
Yeah, well, we got a KRS-One conversation we got to get into, but we're gonna say that.
Yeah, we definitely could do it. We can definitely talk about that too.
I'm still building context. Like just because we about the same age. I don't want put no number on you. We don't get old. We don't 55.
I made 55, okay, man. I made. You know what I'm saying? Not for nothing. Sidebar. Son, I almost kicked the bucket in December, man. I had a stroke.
Really?
You know
what the fuck happened? What?
Yeah. I had a stroke. You know what I'm saying? I was down bad for about 4 days. Yeah, King. And so I was looking at the far side for a minute. You know what I mean? And but I survived it. You know what I'm saying? I'm in great shape, great spirits. You know what I'm saying? Got none of the drooping stuff.
Good, bro.
No, you look good, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm a warrior, B. I got warrior spirit, man. You know what I'm saying? You can't make no song like y'all should all get lynched and you gonna be weak in the faces, of adversity. You know what I'm saying? And so to that ends, I'm happy. I'm proud to be 55, man. I never thought I'd be rhyming this long. And I'm still loving it, still into it, still good at it. by my standards at least, you know what I'm saying, and proud of it, you know what I'm saying.
We don't get old, we get better.
We get refined, you know what I'm saying.
We get refined. Yeah, that's another little motto I got. But now the reason why I asked you your age, you know, like when we talking about getting in contact with hip hop, that would be probably like the 80s, right? Well, you said rap is the light, but then it being, you know, like a really a cultural movement without us actually calling it hip hop. So, like, you know, just give me some context about Staten Island coming up in the culture in Staten Island. Staten Island's a very important place to the history of hip hop. I spent some time on Staten Island from 87 to 89, which is when I first met you.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
on the
yes.
ferry. On the
Yes,
ferry.
Staten Island Ferry. You know what I'm saying? 10 o'clock boat business. You know what I'm saying? The 10 o'clock boat business. We was on with the sound factory of the tunnel. You know what I'm saying? We about to get put in that work. You know what I'm saying? But,
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, for I would say, you know, Staten Island was for me where I lived in Staten Island. I didn't live in the projects per se. You know what I'm saying? Although when I first moved to Staten Island, I lived in Stapleton. You know what I'm saying? Where Haas is from and where Ghost is from. You know what I'm saying? But my mother got us up out of there quick, fast, and you know we moved to this park called Castleton Park or St. Mark's. They called it the New Projects. You know what I'm saying? And but it was a beautiful place where I was at. It was a super culturally diverse community, man. It's a little bit of everybody. I mean, literally, like it was like the entire world was represented in those two buildings. And you know, though many of us, you know, a few of us was growing up without our pops, not many of us, but a few of us was growing up without our pops. We had men in the community that were raising their children that we were able to use as archetypes and templates. We had an involved, you know, like a extended family union. Like you do too much, somebody's parent was gonna come down, y'all was gonna get ready to riot acts, you know what I'm saying? And you know, so it was love. And then, you know, at any given time, man, you would come outside and be like 100 kids outside playing in the park. Somebody over there playing freeze tag, wall tag, roof tag, round up, kick the can, manhunt, jacks off the wall, 7 minutes of heaven, dodgeball. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, they had a little bit of everything going on. You know what I'm saying? Football, you know, touch tackle, kill a man with the ball. You know what I'm saying? You know, we kick ball, wiffle ball, everything. And so I just had this very Martin Luther King-esque, for lack of a better term. I have a dream type childhood, and you know, you would come outside and play with your toys, and
I can relate. Like I grew up in East Orange, right? But East Orange in the 70s was like you had Norkers who were leaving North. You know, East Orange was a half a step up. If you got the Montclair, if you got the you know West Orange, South Orange, Maplewood, then you was kind of 2 steps up. But East Orange coming from North, but our life, you know, my father wasn't around, but I had men in my life that helped. I can go in the park and play all the things that you just listed and just had that type of experience. Then around 85, things changed. And I don't know if it's the same for Staten Island, even going from home to get into the city, because I'm sure you spent time going to Manhattan.
Of course.
So just navigating the ferry, like you seeing the world change around you, but hip hop being like this little this thing that we were living in, not realizing what the fuck we was in. I don't know if you had those, if you looked at it that way at doing this time.
Well, you know, for me, I was having, you know, a few experiences at once, right? So I was having my normal childhood experience. At the time, I was also a child actor. So I was, you know, I was be like 10, 11 years old, Paul, going to auditions. You know what I'm saying? And them days, that was the thing. Like, yo, when I think about how irresponsible it is now, it's crazy, right? But, you know, in retrospect, but in those days, how I was. My mother, I would go on these auditions. I'd be, like I said, 10, 11, 12. You know what I'm saying? Because I think I stopped around 13. But around 10, 11, 12, I would go to different places in Manhattan. And, you know, they had to write down the instructions for me. Take the 1 train to 42nd, you know, to Chambers Street, transfer to the 2, take the 2 to 42nd, you know what I'm saying? And then make, you know, go 2 blocks,
no
down.
GPS, ain't no Google Maps.
You a kid, I'm a child. Like, who would send their kid out to do that now, right? and then I would go and go audition, man. You know what I'm saying? And I like, so I'm in hip hop early on because I don't know if you remember this, because most people I talk to about this don't remember this, right? But there was this show on that used to be it was like a late night dance show, right? It wasn't Solid Gold. It was this other dance show, and they had this one black dude that was on there. His name was Mr. X, right? And Mr. X used to do like that horse kick thing where you put your hands in your feet. You know what I'm saying? Type thing. He used to hit that joint like he was real acrobatic. He used to hit it. Brolic dude though, big dude, looked like could have been Mr. T. But it wasn't though. But you know what I'm saying, like, you know what I'm saying. So home team was the first cat I ever saw really breakdancing, and so I used to be nice with my footwork, right? And then boom, not too long after that, because there was these two moments of breakdance. It was like really early in the 70s, right, where breakdancing first started catching on. Like I say, maybe like. Nah, it couldn't have been that early. It had to be like early 80s. It had to be like late 70s, early 80s that it hit. And then there was the next moment when we was working on getting towards Beach Street, right? Because when we was getting towards Beach Street, I remember, was trying to practice get my speed back that I had when I was a little guy, so I could go to the Beach Street audition at the Roxy Roller Ring. So I was at the Beach Street Roxy. Me and my brother auditioned for Beach Street at the joint, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. And so I did my thing. I got on the news and everything. I was doing the worm joint. I used to do this shit across the stage. I was doing that joint, you know what I'm saying? They caught that joint on the news, man. I came home. It came on the news like a day or two later. Y'all went to school. Everybody was like, "Yo, son, I see you on TV." Son, I always think to myself, man, like I mourned Irene Cara's passing because, she wrote that song Fame. You know what I mean? We think of the lyrics to the song. They say, "Fame, I want to live forever, light up the sky like a flame, fame." I feel it coming together. People remember my name. You know what I'm saying? And I think all of us to some extent, man, we want to be remembered for what we did. We want to leave a lasting impression in the world, man. And
all right, so the Staten Island ferry. You there? You froze up? Mic check 1 2 1 2. Cool Kim, you in the building? Yeah. Elxior, I hope I'm saying that right, says that's a dope nostalgia. And that's what I like to do over here on the Hakeem Green Show when I have artists like this on, is really, give you the context of what helped develop them as hip hoppers, as artists, as MCs, as DJs. Like that influence, that spark, that kind of says it all. Him kind of, detailing being a part of the B Street auditions. I'm trying to get to, was he in it? Was he an extra in it? Was he somewhere? But just the experience of auditioning for Beach Street is like amazing. We had Jazz Young on the show, and she talked about being in Queens, and then her cousin being a part of the Crush Groove auditions. So I'm trying to expand on the whole experience of being a part of an audition like that. When you're talking about Beach Street, you got Beach Street and Wild Style, to me, are the two greatest examples of what hip hop culture was at that time, right? Just the way it felt, the way the culture itself was respectfully, shown. You being at that audition at the Roxy, that's a pivotal moment in hip hop culture, my guy. Like that's not like, oh yeah, I just auditioned for like the high school play. Or nah, this is fucking.
Yeah, yo, that was like. Pardon me, everybody. My computer crashed, so I had to jump on the phone. But that was. Yo, man, listen, we never talked about this, you know what I'm saying? We know each other, and we had a lot of conversations, but I never told you that, like, so you didn't know that about me. But yo, son, like when I went there, keep in mind that at the audition, freaking the Rock Steady crew was there. Like, yo, I got to dance in a circle with them cats, be like, yo, son, like, you know what I'm saying? Like like a lot of people don't be realize they don't be knowing like how deep hip hop go for certain people. You know what I'm saying? So I've had such amazing experiences in hip hop beyond being famous, right? That I love this culture. I uniquely, deeply, and wholeheartedly love hip hop, man. Like, you know, it's as close as a non-religion can be to my religion. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how heavy it is for me. So yeah, bro, to be there and to have that experience, that, you know, to be able to even tell that story all these years later, to me is just a super honor.
Yeah, that's just amazing. Now this is like what, high school, I would guess, or junior high
No,
school.
man, nah, man. I'm in at best junior high school, middle school for my southern people. I'm in middle school type of thing. Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Yeah, that's, and like, you know, you said the rock steady crew, you know, like just you don't know what this thing is going to be. You're just a part of it. And you know, New York is a special place, especially when it, you know, talk about hip hop. And it's unfortunate that we hear like these, you know, this location versus this location, and it's like this whole beef between Atlanta and New York, Midwest and New York. It's always that bothers me because I don't really remember coming up disrespecting other regions like that. I don't. That wasn't a part of the conversation. Dope is
You
dope.
know, if I could give you some pushback on that, like we didn't. That was like, all right. So there's two. We gotta look at this from two different perspectives, right? You and I, and so many of us wasn't on that type of time, right? Because we had we had a more holistic approach to hip hop. You know what I'm saying? We lived in the through the house era. You know what I'm saying? House music era, and so community was heavily a part of that era. You know what I'm saying? And the brotherhood and just dancing together. It was very tribal because we danced to the drum. You know what I'm saying? Which was the DJ. You know what I'm saying? We danced in circles. We cheered each other on, you know what I'm saying? And it was very Afrocentric, very, what I'm saying, it supported that sort of energy. So, even though we was already in hip hop, by the time we start emerging as artists in hip hop, we come to that having this very worldview, very brotherhood, sisterhood, community based worldview. You know what I'm saying? Am I saying this accurate for you too?
I think when you talked about, I mean, I was kind of maybe unique to Staten Island per se, but the mixture of community that existed when you grew up, like it was a intermingling of
Yeah.
different cultures, different folks, right? So New Yorkers kind of are more worldly, like you just said.
Yeah, and I think that's an important thing too when we think about regions and stuff like that. Like, I was explaining this when I moved to Augusta, where I live now. Um, I was explaining to cats like, people was like, yo, New York is fast talkers, or cats that would think that, I was like, yo, you gotta understand something. I was talking about politics as well. I was like, you can't fault cats in the central states having a different point of view and having different desires than cats on coastal or major cities, because your whole experience is different. New York is a immigrant hub. It is a world. It was the financial capital of the world at the time of us growing up. It was the largest and greatest city in the world at the time of us growing up. It was the theater capital of the world. It was the hub for record labels. All the real record labels was in New York at that time. Whereas Hollywood was, LA was known for, movies. New York was known for television and radio. We were dictating a lot in that regard. So on one hand, we're very international minded because it's a major shipping port. You know what I'm saying? Living in Staten Island, I just grew up watching these big giant boats come across the Hudson River, gigantic, tankers and big giant cargo ships with all those shipping containers and coming from parts unknown, bro. Like it's and I think about it, I can see it in my mind's eye as I'm talking to you. And so yeah, we have this worldview, but at the same time, we're still centered in our worldview because for much of this stuff, we're the nexus. Yeah. And so,
Well, haven't been in a minute, but yeah.
yeah, I mean, but yeah, I'm saying, we're talking about 1985, 19.
In terms of what's considered hip hop music, hip hop culture.
And yeah,
Like,
I mean, I'm saying, I would say in terms of everything at this point, in terms of all the things I listed, because we sat at the nexus of that. I remember, New York was the 8 million people at that point. You know what I'm saying? Everything was happening there.
right. No,
The New Year's was New Year when the ball dropped in New York. Like that's how centered New York was in the world, right?
In the
But
world, absolutely.
but what happened is that I think that when hip hop comes out from New York, it doesn't necessarily have a worldview, but it has an honest view, a kind of humble view. It functions for the community, right? When you think of cats like Masters of Ceremony, which was Grand Puba, Don Byron, and Doctor Who, they had songs like "Crack is the Word," where they was doing joints to fight the influx of crack cocaine in our communities. Hey, yo, Chris, what up? Did you hear what sis said? No, crack is the word. I looked and shook my head and said, you mess with crack, it better be while I'm dead. Because if I ever catch you, I punch you in your head. Like we had cats like that. We had dudes like HAKIM Shabazz, and we had the great Jungle Brothers, you know what I'm saying, who really was like, who gave us this very African, Afrocentric, and diaspora, like that kind of conversation was manifested by them brothers. Writing rhymes for us. We had, just a plethora of people that was making music that had value. Even, Fresh Prince, Girls of the World ain't nothing but trouble. So next time the girl give you a play, just remember, man, keep the hell away. Like, this dude was brilliant for us in them days. You know what I'm saying? And, and so our music at that time was universal to the extent that it wasn't region specific. Region specific music doesn't really start manifesting until NWA with, what I'm saying, when they start coming out with straight out of Compton. That's when
you say region specific music. Like, cause leaving New York and going to other places, you didn't hear New Yorkers on, like, the style of music wasn't open for rap music. I'm talking about early on in the 80s. So
right.
New York artists, we was getting played late night on the weekends and on AM stations and underground radio stations in the 80s. That, like, to your point about New York being a bubble unto itself, right?
But but let's keep this in mind too, because this is an important point. Is that, and I agree, right? So that's how we're experiencing hip hop initially. Is that it's the mix shows. You up at 12, 1 o'clock at night, trying to make a pause tape.
Right.
But let's think about that pause tape. What did we do with it? What did some of us do with that pause tape? Some of us took that pause tape, dubbed it, put it in the mail, and sent it to our cousin that lived in North Carolina. Yeah. Sent it to our cousin in Florida, in Atlanta, in Texas.
Right.
So it meant the world for them to get them a New York tape, what they used to call, give me a New York tape, you know what I'm saying? And they have all the joints. That was how they were really, it was very like, it was really the first viral. You know what I'm saying? Like the spread of it, right? So now you're talking about people spreading this around with letters and packages in the mail back in the day, right? Yeah. And when we talk about hip hop, and this is where I think the regional stuff becomes an issue, and where a lot of the beef comes. And I say this humbly, and I'm curious to see if anybody in the comment section can relate, because I know there's people from all over checking us out right now. When the Fresh Fest went out, right? When those concerts, those tours went out, right? It wasn't New Yorkers going to Texas or going to California, going to Ohio, or going to Rhode Island and all the different places that this tour was traveling to. It wasn't New Yorkers going there and filling up the marinas. It was the people that were local there filling up the marinas, right? Yeah. And they facilitated, and it was their love for what we was doing, their acceptance and their connection, and them feeling connected to what they was doing, what we were doing, that drove it to becoming not only a national but an international phenomenon, right?
Right.
At some point in it, they started to find their own voice, and they started to make music in the context of who they were and where they were from, the same as we did. What made us unique and special is that, again, we had this worldview because we were a city that people came from far and wide by bus, train, and plane, right, to come to New York. And so we had a worldview and could relate to a bunch of stuff, and our voices carried at a bunch of frequencies because of it. But we could not speak contextually for what was going on in the dirty South and 5 Points in Atlanta. We couldn't speak contextually for what's going on in Orlando, Florida, or what's happening in Houston,
Nor
Texas.
should we, because they have their icons.
They had their own voices.
They had their own voices.
So now what happens is, right, and I end the thought with here, this. What happens is that these cats, they put their thoughts together, they put their styles together. They don't come from a fast talking city. And a lot of Southern people never understood why we so fast talking. And it's like, because you live in a city of 8 million people, and your transactions are happening on a train, they're happening in an elevator. This is where the term elevator pitch happens. So you got to get it out quick. That's why you become a fast talker, because it's 8 million people. You're on a train, you got to get that out quick. And so you learn to be a fast talker to articulate your thoughts. So, but they don't have to do that in the South. Here in Augusta, it's like they find that to be disingenuous if you're talking too fast. They feel threatened by that because they feel like you were sharp. And it's like I explained a couple of cats, like, I come from a city, we got to talk fast. So, and be articulate, because that it requires this, right? So what we were rhyming about, what we saying, sound different because of the cultural context from where we live. In Atlanta, you go to SWATs, it is not the same. They don't have the same cultural context. They don't have the same sort of movement happening. So articulating yourself a little slower, with a drawl, it's a different pace. It's not a dumber pace. It's not stupid. It's not ill-equipped. It's just a different cultural context. And so when they start making their music, it doesn't sound the same as what we know. And because it lacks the density lyrically that what we're accustomed to, it comes across as if these cats aren't nice. But these cats are brilliant because they're making songs within the context of who they are. And when they came to bring it to their big brothers, because that's who we were, their big brothers in New York, who they loved, who they supported, who they helped create a multi-billion-dollar industry through these things that kids in the Bronx started off doing, kids in Staten Island, kids in Brooklyn, kids in Queens and Jersey, all of that, what we was doing, and they helped turn this into a huge thing and change lives because they supported it. When they came to bring it to New York, the powers that be, the cats in the commercial spaces.
All right. And most of them niggas ain't from New York.
Right on. Yeah. Just like how many cats hate New Yorkers because they got a storyline that goes, somebody came to claiming to be from New York, stole their work, screwed their girl, and was hollering New York the whole time. And I'm like, son, that wasn't no New Yorker. That was somebody posing. You know what I'm saying? Because we're not crazy like that. We understand the game. Like, can't move like that. You understand? And so what happens is that you got people that's posers, creating this condition where they gatekeeping hip hop so that we can't celebrate our Southern brothers. We was into whatever was dope. You know what I'm saying? Nobody was worried about where we was
Southern playlistic. Nigga. The first time I heard that song, first time I saw that video, and I don't know anybody that disagrees with me, knew them niggas was dope.
Man, when I heard, when you hear Project Pat and you hear in cats like, you hear in cats like, or even going a little further forward.
You hearing 8-Ball MJG, you hearing
Too Short.
Nobody I know is like going Too Short. Nobody I know is ever like, and it's me. It's my personal experience. I'm actually from New Jersey, and if anybody get it, Jersey gets it. But I also know that every time I've seen somebody be dope, get a chance to be dope, Dope was dope, and that's all it was, and wasn't nobody
Point
pushing
blank
back.
and period. Point blank and period. When nobody trying to hear nothing else. There wasn't no. It wasn't no nothing else.
Damn. Oh man, Goo Dollars is like y'all cooking. Word is bond. Niggas was in here cooking, nigga, dropping these a lot of shit that I've been trying to address for a minute. A lot of things I've been wanting to address for a minute, and you're the perfect person to address a lot of this shit with. Because
because
we don't always agree, but we always on the same page though.
Yeah, I mean, and and what how boring would the world be if we always agreed, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, like that's just a sidebar thing. I know we're gonna talk about my rebuttal speech. We gotta normalize and really tap into the notion that we don't have to agree on everything, King, but we can respect each other in disagreement. And we also have to always kind of remember from what are we not agreeing about? Music? Like, son, we're not disagreeing about whether or not about reparations. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not disagreeing about deporting hardworking men and women that's trying to build a life for themselves because their paperwork ain't fully in order. You know what I'm saying? We're not arguing whether people deserve equal rights under the sun, the same as the next person. We talking about whether who's better, Biggie, Jay-Z, and Nas. Like, home team, that ain't nothing. That's not nothing to cross swords over. You know what I'm saying? We talking about things that are worthy of discussion to the extent that we are passionate about it. But this should not become things that become grounds for disrespect or we can't work together, or I can't catch a vibe with son because he's saying something. Come on, I think that's foolish. I think that I grew up arguing. I grew up snapping. Like, that was, you had, like, if you couldn't do that, like, you wasn't gonna survive.
Right, you better have thick skin. You gotta be able to bust a
joint. Yes, man, you gotta be able to eat them joints. We grew up fist fighting and slap boxing and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? We playing tackle football without no pads. We just, laying wood. Wow, like, you had to be tough. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't even like, you didn't even consider it, like, that wasn't even living that regular life, wasn't even considered tough comparative to what we live in now, right? But you had to be at least that to survive to any real extent. You had to get on a bike and ride down a block to top speed and do a ramp jump over a piece of plywood, you know what I'm saying, propped up against a couple of bricks and cinder blocks, jump, land on a Schwinn bike, bust your ass, knees scraped up, shit all tore up from them. Remember the pedals that had the little, like the little edges and shit, smack that shit, tear that motherfucker up, boy. I got mad marks on my legs right now from that shit. Yeah, I still got them joints, yo. You heard? And you had to live that, and in order to do that, you had to have a thick skin. So man,
listen, when I was in the second grade, I broke my arm doing backflips out of swings.
That's totally right. I got a concussion from swinging on the monkey bars playing tag. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
This is how we grew up. My man broke his ribs, and we see his mother that was trying to go tell him. And he's like, I said, yo, your mother's there. I'm going to go get her. He said, I said, what you want me to tell her? He said, tell my mother that fell. This is how we grew up, man. Like, you just, so we don't build on that frequency where just because I don't agree with your point of view, all of a sudden I somehow never don't agree with your identity. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And we didn't assign our ideas and thoughts to our identity. We understood them as ideas and thoughts, and understood that they could change and modify over time. And that if we really was about them ideas and thoughts, you know what I'm saying? Because debating was real, like having, going outside and, doing whatever you was doing, whether you was smoking or drinking or just chilling. Like, you know what I'm saying? That wasn't my bag in that point in my life at all. You know what I'm saying? So, you just go outside, you hanging out, debating different topics and situations and circumstances was a part of growing up, man. I made my shout out to my man Bear.
My man Mitch, man, you know what I'm saying? I grew up with him. That's all we used to do was argue. All day. We argued legendary. We be going from the morning, cats would go upstairs, eat dinner. You know what I'm saying? Come back outside. We was still on that same argument. But it refined us as conversationalists. It helped sharpen our sword.
Yeah.
And that's a blessing, King. Like I think I'm thankful for
Only
that.
reason why I touched on that is because I personally would like to see more unity in the culture. You know, like, you know, we could disagree without being disagreeable.
Right.
We ain't gotta kill each other over small stuff.
And you know what? And all conversation ain't combat.
No.
Every time somebody talking to you, used to the point that if you don't word it perfectly correct, if you respond to something, people immediately, or if you're not absolute, you don't come in and just praise what's said or done.
Like, you just gotta hit it with it respectfully.
Yes, and you gotta hit them with some. Like you gotta be like, you gotta go through all this roundabout stuff to get a simple point across. Like, yo, I seen something real today, and the dude said something slick. He said, yo, y'all ain't at my level. He said, you know what my level is? He said, I can say no without giving an excuse afterwards. And it's a moment of silence, and then you hear everybody like, oh, because they realize, like, most of the time, you can't even just be like, nah, I ain't doing that. Well, why not? Like, nah, I'm not doing that. I'm not breaking it down. I don't feel compelled to, to soften the blow for you. I'm not doing it.
Actually, depending on what the subject matter is, if I sense any type of niggerdom, I'm putting you over there, and I don't even want to deal with you.
It's over.
It's over. If it's any type, and life's too short, not enough time in the day to be dealing with. We can't talk our way and get to we ain't gotta agree. Can we get on the same page? We not on the same page, then we can't be on the same book because it's a waste of time. But talking about waste of time, I do want to get to a very important topic.
Yes, sir.
And when we talk about the culture, when we talk about hip hop music, we talk about lyricism, we talk about bars, we talk about just uniqueness coming up when we came up. You came out before Channel Live, of course. The UMCs, that shit was dope, bro.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dope. So much needed in the culture. You guys came with your own style, bars. Like, I was watching you on, BET. I was watching you on Video Music Box. And this is, like I said, before I came out as Channel Live. And I was like, yo, okay. They get it, like lyrically, they got that. Like, so talk about you and Haas, man. How'd you guys meet, and how the UMCs came together?
We meet on the Staten Island ferry boat.
See,
from
ferry nigga, boy.
That ferry done a lot, yo. Yeah, we meet at Staten Island on the boat. On the way home from work, because we both worked at the Statue of Liberty. You know what I'm saying? So we worked at Statue of Liberty concessions alongside. Then up and coming artist named Shaquan, who would later be known as Method Man, and a then young 5% brother that was going by You God. You know what I'm saying? And I believe I'm not sure if Divine worked there, but I know Rizing worked there, but. Yeah, we was all working at Statue of Liberty. A few of us was working at Statue of Liberty. I think one or two of the cats from Trends of Culture worked there. And so, but we met on a ferry, you know what I'm saying? And then we became fast friends, and we were part of a larger crew. But we had an opportunity to get a record deal, like with this like independent record deal label in the Bronx, and so the suggestion was made that my man that was in the pre-established group that I ended up coming to when Haas brought me there, he wanted to do his own thing, so he became this group called Stepping Strong with my man DJ HAKIM, and myself and Haas went on to become the Universal MCs because the group was called Universal Stepping Strong, and which is a whack name, and I was like, yo, this name is whack, right? But so we took the Universal MCs part. I was like, yeah, that's what I wanted, and it eventually became it just became after we had the dealings with that record label and moved on to Wild Pitch, it was like before we got to Wild Pitch, it was just the UMCs, And that was it meant any number of things like Undisputed Masters Charisma. That was like the main one we used to run with. Universal MCs, obviously, the usage may change. You know what I'm saying? That was the science of it. And we both had very full hip hop experiences. You know what I'm saying? Haas love production. I love performing and rhyming. You know what I'm saying? And initially, Haas rhymed better than me. You know what I'm saying? But then he slipped and said it one time, right? He's like, "Yo, you ain't nice to me." And I was like, "Yeah." And then ever since, right? Ever since I was like, "Yo, I'm dominating your ass, yo. I'm tearing you up lyrically, like yo." Like I'll be dissing people in songs. I really be dissing him. Like yo, I'll be like yo, like even to this day, if I do a song with him, I'll be going at him. Like yo, nigga, I'm going at you, nigga. Like yo,
Wow.
I'm saying to this day, right? So but yeah, it's my man like that. You know what I'm saying? We and I really when I think of those 16-year-old kids, man, I'm so proud of them because they believed and they worked really hard. Like I very rarely see young people. No, I can't say that now because I see examples of it. But
There.
but we work real hard, man. Like you didn't have no internet, so you had to go places. Like we'd be everywhere, man, performing.
We had to walk 20 miles in the snow, and
yeah, I mean quite literally.
Yeah, when the ferry was down, we had to row across the motherfucking.
You know what I'm saying? We had to ice skate across the Hudson River that's how it was, man. Like, but man. And speaking of like had to walk across the bridge. Speaking of walk across the bridge, do you remember the walkathon?
Yeah, absolutely.
You ain't heard that in a while, right?
The March of Dimes walkathon?
Yes, sir. You ever think about how potent that was? Like, that was so important to both hip hop and hip hop fashion that it's never spoke about enough. I wonder, if I get some bread together to do it, I'm gonna do a documentary on the walkathon because the power of that event. Like, because remember, everybody was coming out to the walkathon. Wow. You know what I'm saying? And you would hit it around like that. If you wasn't wherever you could start in Brooklyn, but you would hit it around Chambers Street or wherever, or the Brooklyn Bridge or whatever, right? From Firewood, you know what I'm saying? And then people was walking from there all the way uptown. But everybody would come out with the freshest sneakers, but that was the new whatever. Everybody was wearing it. But remember everybody was dumbing out the Hawaiian short sets? Like, all that type of energy. And Castro had boom boxes on their ear, on their shoulder rather. That's when you would hear all of the joints. And I want to say that I'm going to go on record as saying I might have been one of the first people to really have a hot top fade because I remember going to the walkathon. Really I'm gonna put it out there. I'm gonna go out there because I'm going out on a limb with this one. Right? Okay. And so I respect that everybody going to disagree with me. That's cool, but I'm putting this out there for myself. All right, I'm claiming it. Shouts to Chris Reed, Kid from Kid and Play. But here's the thing. I remember going out there, right? I got to bow down to Mr. Blackman, who is I forget his first name right now, but who was the lead singer of Larry Blackman for Cameo, right? Because I remember going out. I remember doing the walkathon one year, and I had my high top joint, right? And it was a mistake how I ended up with it. All right. So, and it wasn't dumb high like this. It was made like it seemed high, but it was low. But I'm walking up the walkathon, everywhere I went, as soon as people would see me, don't go. Everybody would be playing that song. It tastes like candy. I'm like, I'm telling you. Strawberry, raspberry, all those good things. You know what I'm saying? And that's how it was in those days, yo.
Yeah, I definitely had a hot top fade because of Kid from Kid and Play.
Mm-hmm.
KG had the ill hot top fade early.
Yep.
Actually, Kid from Kid and Play was the first time we saw the hot top fade, but then K had his shit was like mad high. If you ever see the cover of the New Style album cover with
the New Style. That's what
the medallion. He got the hot top joint. Yeah, K was ill with it.
You ever heard the album?
Huh?
You ever heard the New Style album?
Remember, I was a background dancer for the new style.
Oh, was you? I didn't know that. I didn't know you was like, yeah, it's
I
the
know,
new style. That's that shit was like
I
that.
grew up with them brothers. I grew up with them brothers. In fact,
Wow,
my
wow.
senior year talent show was the first show they ever did as a group.
What?
Yeah, Vinny was a junior. Me and Kate was seniors. Tretch was a junior.
What?
Kate's the first person to introduce me to Criminal Minded. I walked in the homeroom
What?
class. He's sitting there with the Criminal Minded album in his hand. Got the high top fade. Got the fucking the 4-finger ring. Got the gold medallion. K always been like just DJ, quiet, play basketball, but he was into his music always quiet, always ahead of the curve when it came to fashion, hip hop fashion, sneakers. So he was always on it like that.
Let me ask you a question, and that leads me to a quick question. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the reviewing you, right? But hold on. Yo, who was the person that got you to write your first rhyme?
My man Asiatic, who passed away last year.
Bless him.
19, so I would say the summer of 1980. The first person I ever saw rhyme live was Mike C, who became an internet sensation. Mike C was maybe 2 years older than me. I was 10 years old. I heard him spitting live and direct, and later on that year, like there was a crew called the Stardust 3, Asiatic, Buddha Black, and Tiny T. And
What?
I wrote my first rhymes, and then I put it down, tried to pick it back up when I was in high school, but I wasn't that good at it yet. And then I was a background dancer for Naughty when they were the new style. Was dancing for them when they got the management deal with Flavor Unit. I went back to school on Staten Island. They got their deal with a Tommy Boy. My boy Bub played me OPP over the phone.
What?
I was late on that year. I was a background dancer for an artist named Princessa from Queens.
I remember Princessa. Wow.
She had a hit called "Show Me How to Dance." She was the rapper on this. So I was on tour with her. We were in Dallas, sitting in a limousine. OPP came on the radio. It fucked me up.
It had to.
See, people don't. There's no internet, nigga. There's no. It's none of this shit we got right now. It's none of that. For a black artist to be on daytime radio in Texas is huge.
Come on.
For a hip hop artist, brand new hip hop artist, to be on daytime radio in Dallas, Texas is unimaginable in 1983. That shit fucked me up. That's when I hung up the dancing shoes and picked up the pen and the paper.
Tried to get to it, yeah. So you know who got me? Who made me write my first rhyme? Like I used to freestyle all the time, but you know, for fun. But when I went to Art and Design High School, which is the high school I went to in my first year, my freshman year, and I was the homeroom. My same homeroom was Kwame.
See,
and yo, Kwame, even back then, was, you know, I have to say in my lifetime of seeing motherfuckers is fly with they shit.
and niggas is
Kwame has always been an immaculate dress. Like he could put it together. Like even back then as a kid, man, he just was fresh to death. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know how he did it. Like it would be all the freshest shit he would have, right? And he had this rhyme, man. He said some shit like, "Don't know why there's lipstick on my thigh, sloppy blowjob." Like it was just some slick shit like that, right?
That's not.
And I was like, "Yo, this is brilliant," you know what I'm saying? And so I went home and wrote my first rhyme. That because we were ciphering, you know, getting busy to the beats and stuff like that. So I went home, wrote my first rhyme, man. My definition's integrated and imprecise, not easily understood. So now I must think twice. I demoniacally deliver and demonstrate pronunciations, phrases you won't contemplate. You take offenses, I offend. A cult to hate me. They send the demon hoes to come and cite Pop Ski. That was my name, Pop Ski and shit.
Because you must have been a pop locker.
Now my nickname was Popo growing up, you know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, they call me Pop for short and shit, you know what I'm saying? So I was like that.
Pop
But
Ski,
yeah, Pop Ski in the motherfucking house, nigga.
Crazy.
And I, like, you know, similar to your path, I ended up getting a chance to dance for Miss Melody, Rest
Wow.
in peace.
Okay. Yeah,
And
rest in
for a
peace.
lot, her one and only video live on stage. You know what I'm saying? I'm one of the dancers there. And you know, then I had the opportunity to choreograph a little bit for the Jungle Sisters, or yeah, something like that. I think Kika and Ali, who used to dance for Queen Latifah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I'm on the live on stage video. And then you know, not long after we had got our shot and got on Wild Pitch. But yeah, man, like you know, and that was hip hop for us growing up, man. Like, you know, you did a lot of things to get yourself close to it, and you did everything you could to stay in proximity. You know what I mean? 'Cause proximity, everything, right? And then when, you know, one day you get a chance to shine, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's funny because I've had this very interesting relationship with BDP for a good portion of my life. Our first manager, our first real no, not our first manager, but eventually we would be under 40th Street Black management, but that was you know, my man Tony Rasan and D Nice's management company, and manager Mo, you know what I'm saying? He used to be involved in getting involved. Shout out to Mo, man. I miss that brother, man.
All iconic, legendary names from that era.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
know,
So a lot of people don't know, like it's like you know, cause you know, I don't know, cause we you know I don't know how long we got, but you know, there's a lot we want to talk about. You know what I'm saying? But I say that, you know, a lot of people don't know how close I like people don't really know me. You know what I'm saying? Like they just know blue cheese and when they're growing, or they may know NY oil, you know what I'm saying? But they don't really know my story because you know, we never really got a lot of press or people deep dive into who we were. So a lot of people don't really know how deep I go in hip hop and how many people that I mean, like that how connected we were to different people and what we done and stuff like that. So, you know, yeah, it's a lot of stuff like that, man.
well, you know, I know you knew it was coming, but the infamous Roseland show was that the New Music Seminar?
No, that wasn't a New Music Seminar. The Roseland show was, it was just a regular date, if I
It was
remember
a, reg-
correct.
a
I don't
regular
know that
date.
it was. I don't know
But
that it was. I can't remember if it was like connected to that, but yeah, a Roseland show.
yeah, well, what was the controversy with KRS-One and the UMCs? I wasn't there. I wasn't a part of the crew. I wasn't down. I was just a fan. But
You know, it's it. All right, so I'll explain it from that moment,
okay,
but then I'll overlay 55-year-old grown man perspective as well. Okay,
okay,
so in the moment, right now. All right, so like what people would be like, Chris is a tactician. You dig? He be knowing what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? And it suggests otherwise I think it's disrespectful of how brilliant he is. You know what I'm saying? He knows what he's doing. Like, you know, he's slick. He is the consummate showman. You know what I'm saying? More than the teacher, he is a showman at the highest level. You dig what I'm saying? So we're doing this show. It's us, Das Effects, Fushnikins, and BDP. You know, Chris. And so now, mind you, at the time we being managed by Tony Rasan, who was affiliated. You know what I'm saying? And so we have a relationship. You know what I'm saying? With him. So it's not like it's like we distant cousins at you know, to some
right.
extent. You know what I'm saying? So we get on, we do our ones, you know, we do our thing. Staten Island is in it deep, you know what I'm saying, at a Wu-Tang level. You know what I'm saying? And anybody that saw Wu-Tang's rise would know just how deep Staten Island could come out for Wu-Tang. So it was out like that. And contrary to what people believe, you know what I'm saying, Cass is about that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, niggas is not soft. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, a lot of people.
I was out there for a couple years. I'm
Yeah,
all the
so
way.
people be having like the wrong perception because they look too much at the TV and they're like this, like, you know, like that's anywhere there's poverty, there's somebody there that whoop your ass. You know what I'm saying? That's the mark of toughness. Is really poverty because you know what I'm
I'll
saying.
be
It's
honest
hard
with
living.
you. Not even poverty. Anywhere you go,
Mm-hmm.
there's somebody who anybody can get it.
Yeah, there's something. There's always like this, like supreme warrior. You know what I'm saying? Like from neighborhood to neighborhood, from building to building, block to block. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like that. And so, you know, Staten Island was outside. You know what I'm saying? And so when Chris comes on, he comes on and he, you know, he's doing his ones. You know, always top tier show. I mean, I think UMC's was one of the best performing acts of its time. But that's one person I would never want to with on no stage is Chris, because he's magnificent. He's magnificent. He understands who he is and how to move on stage at a level that cannot be it ain't nobody fucking with him on stage, yo. I just believe that shit for real. And he got the hits to back it up. Shit. So he's doing his ones, man, killing it. And he gets to this one point where you know how you riling up the crowd with some you talking your shit. He's talking his shit, you know what I'm saying? Now, here's where it happens. He's like, yo, you know what I'm saying? UMC's is whack. Because you know what I'm saying? That. Right? And I'm like, and the whole crowd goes, oh, you know that shit when it's like, everybody's like, oh, they just dissed them niggas, you know what I'm saying? And like, you know, we're like, oh man. Now listen, now this is overlaying my 55-year-old self, but at the same time, we was very cognizant of it in the moment. All right. Which is, yo, if you got a name like UMC's, anytime somebody say UMC's, it's going to imply that it's referring to you. You heard?
Right.
But the way he said it, right, it sounded like he was saying UMC's. You know what I'm saying? Right? So it's like, yo, son, you can't do it. Now you got to understand something else too. Chris's fans is a different breed. You heard? Like he had the Beehive before well, Beyonce had the Beehive.
Nah, but the BDP posse was always ran thick.
They, you know, he have like, we're not even talking about BDP. We talking about the fans. Let's start there. His fan base is fanatical. You heard? I'm a fan of BDP. You heard? So I know that this is going to be a problem. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not experiencing it. I'm not just experiencing it as an entertainer. I'm experiencing it as somebody that's been in the crowd to know where this could go. And I'm like, son, this cannot be allowed to fly because we're going to have a problem. And that problem is going to be far reaching. You dig it? He's got to say something about this. So he gets off the stage. Yo, we in a frenzy trying to get like, you know, and I mind you, I'm 5'7.5". You know what I'm saying? Oh, and this is not even in my stocky days. This is me. I'm 5'7.5", like 140 pounds. So I'm damn near an elf compared to Chris. Chris is a big lumberjack looking man. All them niggas is gigantic. So you have to understand the level of urgency. And I'm not no troublemaker. You know, I talk my shit, but I'm not no troublemaker because I know ass kicking is around the corner. Whether I'm gonna be the one giving it or I'm getting it. You know what I'm saying? I'm a trained fighter. So I have a great deal of respect for fighting because I understand the damage that can be done fighting. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't want to mix it up. There's a reason they got weight classes. The last thing I want to do is mix it up with Chris. You understand? You know what I'm saying? It's a young, spry Chris too. So you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want that. You know what I'm saying? And his brothers is gigantic. Like, what the hell? You don't want that trouble.
Willie D walking around looking like a young Mike Tyson.
Yeah, these niggas is all monsters, right? And I'm like,
you got the BDP posse, but you got the fans who think they BDP posse. So it's
exactly. So now, but this is red alert type thing. This is huge. This is a big problem. Can't let it fly. Gotta say something. So I'm like, yo, Chris, wait, you know what I'm saying? We're like, yo, KRS, you know what I'm saying? We ain't know him as Chris then, you know what I'm saying? You know, but he wasn't popularly known as Chris, it was more KRS. Yo, KRS, man, you can't do that, man. Like you gotta do something. So then we send, so you know, but he, you know, it's post stage, so Cass is beelining. You know what I'm saying? So he can't really get it to him. And I felt like if he'd have got it then, he might have turned around and been like, yo, hold up, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it you know, Tony goes up to try to articulate what was going on. And I don't think that he liked Tony that much, truth be told. So thing was that I think he was like he didn't.
Was the D Nice conflict going? Like, what was the dynamic with that? Like the D
Nah,
Nice.
it wasn't nothing. Like it just was at this point. I mean, if it was, I wouldn't know. You know what I'm saying? I'll keep it always right. I didn't know like that, right? So, and I didn't get along with D Nice too heavy at that time because, you know, something that Hassa did that made D Nice think that I was the type of dude that you could do what he would try to do. And then, you know, so we had words and shit, but then we got cool afterwards. That's my man. I got big love and respect for him. But at that time, it wasn't, I ain't had a best relationship with his son. You know what I'm saying? And, but so, you know, Tone went to go, you know, try to approach him about it. And he was like, yeah, you know, we'll get on the radio. You know what I'm saying? We, you know, let's go on so-and-so's like Flex or whatever, Red Alert, and we'll sort it out. You know, ain't no thing, I got you. He never did that. And so, you know, it was like, it was kind of like one of them type of things, like the way it came across to us was like, man, you know what I'm saying, type of thing. So I'm a Taurus. And anybody know what a Taurus is? I'm not one for astrology like that heavy, but anybody know what Taurus? No, I'm not gonna forget it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna hold that. You know, like I'm not going to forget it. We're gonna settle this some point in life. I'm going to make sure that my grievance is heard. Right. Okay. So fast forward, I'm NY Oil, and we're at this event at the multiplex up in Harlem. You heard? Now, before everything else is the community, right? And again, my grievance is not, this nigga ain't smack my mother, you know what I'm saying? Like, he ain't screw my wife or nothing like that. You know, it was a slight, you know what I'm saying? But it hurt my feelings because I love Chris, you know what I'm saying? Like I love him at the end. What he, you know, I'm super huge fan, and I'm not gonna let it. I'm not that kind of a guy, bro. Like I'm not the type of guy that I'm gonna let it rock. I'm going, yo, son. We gonna it take me forever. I'm gonna see it about it.
As men, it's very much understandable why you would want to, you know.
And you know, I'm
man with him, like, yo. So
son, like, you gotta know that you did this to me, son. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't let this fly, son. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I think, again, you know, I think a lot of times, because a lot of people got immature minds and they never really dealt with real life or never dealt with situations where they had to step to somebody, regardless of whether they thought they could beat them in a fight or whether they was like, yo, son, I can't let this rock. Like, even if, you know, yo, son, if I got it, whatever, I'm not going to let it rock because this is a principle issue, right? So people don't be understanding that. So they think that automatically means that you was coming in there for war. Nah, son. I'm coming there we got clearly. Hey, yo, son, I gotta talk to you about this. You hurt my feelings, son.
No, it's not about war, it's about understanding.
Like, son, you hurt my fucking feelings, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Fuck that shit. Son. I gotta say something.
I disagree with you, but help me get on the same page.
Oh yeah, let's sort this out. So like, you know, come on, you know, there may be room for, like, you know, if you see it, if you can see my grievance, if I articulate this correctly, and you the man that I think you are, you'll give me an apology, or you give me a pound and be like, yo, my bad, son. Like, cause that's all I really, you know, that's all, you know, that's really what you really want, right? And sure enough, we was at that thing. You was there, you know what I'm saying? And yo, the event went on. You know, I gave my input, like, you know, in line with what was going on. You know, I'm not trying to blow up the spot or, you know, violate, you know, the situation, because the people come before all that bullshit, right? And the mission come before all that bullshit. You heard? And I'm recognizing that it's petty comparative to the mission, right? And so, you know, I wait till after everything's done. And I'm like, Chris, you know, can I holler at you for a minute? You know what I'm saying? And you came over as you were coming. I was like, you know, I had put my hand out like, nah, son, you know, I'm having this moment with him. Because we talked about this at some point,
yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so
there, yeah, I remember as you talk about it, I remember that happening.
That happened. And when we talked, and I told him, I was like,
yeah, good, I'm sorry.
And when I was talking to him, I took my glasses off, and I was like, yo, I'm Cool Kim from the UMCs. I'm not just NY Oil. You know what I'm saying? And I need to tell you this, B. And I went on to break the shit down on what my experience was with him. And yo, he heard me out. He heard me from top to bottom, no interruption, heard me all the way out. And he says to me, looks at me, says, "Hey, yo, Oil, I'm sorry, yo." And yo, in that moment, it was like, even when I think about it now, my scalp tingles because it was like it was the perfect ending to this story. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, son, that's it. That's it. That's it. You know what I'm saying? That was like you couldn't ask for more, Paul, because yo, this is somebody that I admire and respect. And you know, I was violated by him. And I would go as far as saying very unintentionally. You know what I'm saying? It happened to be that way. You know what I'm saying? It just happened that way. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, somebody fall off the stage and they bump into you, and then you gonna be tight because he stepped on your shoe. It's like, son, like you ain't do that shit on purpose, for real, for real, for real. You couldn't have calculated it that much, even though I think he's very calculating. I don't think that was his intent. Like I don't think he went on the stage with the intent on crapping on the UMCs for what? Like that's a low hanging fruit.
I've heard him. Well, you know, you so and so is a very New York thing. It's probably coming from
yeah. So that wasn't that's
so and so. You so and so. Like in you know, I'm addressing.
I got plenty of rhymes about UMCs, and I'm not talking about me. You heard? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So it's very plausible that you know what I'm saying. And like I said, in the moment we understood that. But it was the perception because what would end up happening is for years after that, and I mean for years, I then had to hand out a couple of ass whoopings, you heard, and I've been put in a couple of bad spots because you got those sycophants cast us on, like to put it bluntly, they on Chris Dick so hard that they feel like if they try to warrior up for him, that somehow or another he gonna be proud of them for that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, cats running up on you like, yo, son, you can't disrespect the teacher. You know what I'm saying? I'd be like, yo, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? Like, you know what I'm saying? And you got a better chance of putting your hands on me than saying the wrong thing to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, something about words get to me. Like, I'm words is heavy for me because I traffic in words. So you put the wrong combination of words together, I'm ready to fight. So I'm like, what's up, man? I'm with the shits. And so, you know, Cash, we had a couple of tussles behind that. And I'm like, yo, so I'm just out here trying, you know, UMCs was not that group. We wasn't on that type of time. We just trying to have a good time, man, dance, make music, have fun, you know what I'm saying, enjoy the people, man. It's the dream come true. I was trying to live in that space. So when people would take me out of that space, you know what I'm saying, I would be, you know, I was aggressive about that. And so we dealt with that for a long, long time, bro. I mean, years after that. You know what I'm saying? And it would be in the oddest place. Like you'd be in wherever, West Bubble, Chicken Road, you know, at the old Sugar Shack and shit, doing the show. And here comes some goofball talking about, yo, son, you know what I'm saying? I heard you had beef with the teacher. And they'd be like, yo, son, I'm about to fuck you up, man. You know what's wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? And so that was the issue of it. And that's why I explained that to him. Like, you know, this is what we went through, man. Like, and that wasn't fair. You know what I'm saying? I was irresponsible. And that was my beef about it. Like, yo, son, I said, like, I don't want to get too much into what I said to him only because that was between him and I. You know what I'm saying? And I'm peace that it's because that's all it needed to be between. But you know what I will share is that I expressed to him that I was like, yo, son, you know, like I said, not the corner phrase, but you know, with great power come great responsibility, man. You know what I'm saying? Like some Spider-Man shit. And I said, yo, Chris, you're too important to be irresponsible with your speech because you could really hurt somebody, my man. You know what I'm saying? Like, and your voice is so important and powerful that you know, I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't say something. You understand? And he said something to me that I thought was super heavy, especially hearing it come from him. He said, you know, that's what happens when the people around you, they're on your dick. You know what I'm saying? And they're not willing to hold you accountable. He said, you know what I'm saying? He's like, yo, son, I need that around me. I need people that's going to hold me accountable. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to be scared to say something. You know what I'm saying? When they feel like I'm going off track. And I was like, yo, son, I'll give you my word. I'll always be there for you for that. You can bet that. Like, that's one thing. And I took that to heart. And, you know, I didn't have much dealings with cats after that and after my MRO run because I wanted to deal more in the community. But, so for my part, that's the story that I experienced. And in my story, I think that I respect Chris as a man among men because, you know, it takes a lot for a man to, you know, one, hear out somebody telling him about his wrongdoings or his misdoings or his misspeaking or whatever, right? And then to understand it enough to realize that the best course of action, not because he had to be scared or not because I was going to do something to him, there wasn't the energy of that because that wasn't what my intent was. My intent was that I needed to tell his brother that he hurt me. You know what I'm saying? But to hear that shit, realize that that's what's happening and apologize, B. Like that's some man shit. You know what I'm saying? So in my reality, I'll always respect Chris. You know what I'm saying? Because of that. And not as the teacher, I respect him as a man. That man did. I had an encounter with that man. He stood on some man shit, and I love and respect him for that, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I always ride for that for him. Like I would never, you know what I'm saying? I had an issue like that with Inspector Deck, where he said some slick thing shit, and he didn't realize that I was in the room, and so there was this, you know, you know, make a long story short, you know. He was in the room. He didn't realize I was in the room. We seen a video of me on the thing. He's like, "Who does that? NY Oil dude?" And he was like, "Yeah, yeah." And he was like, "I don't like that dude." You know what I'm saying? He be, you know, he had this image of me that he thought he'd be out here telling people this, all the people preaching to people, but he out here smoking blunts and all kind of just trying to do that and that. So I turned around, I'm like, "Yo, home team, I'm NY Oil." You know what I'm saying? I'm saying, "Yo, y'all sitting here smoking right now. You don't see me smoking? What you talking about?" Blah blah blah. So you know, we was having a little bit of back and forth, and it got a little contentious. And at one point, I was like, "Look, you know, we all rooted for y'all, Wu-Tang. We all rooted for y'all. But y'all was the one that said that can't nobody get signed from Staten Island unless they go through you. And you ruined the generation of people's ability for Staten Island cats to get on because y'all tried to do some mafia shit and you fucked it up for everybody." And he was like, "Nah, I ain't do that. I ain't do that." And my man's King Just, it was his man's, I can't think, I always forget his name, man. But I wish I didn't because I always wanted to, it was the realest shit. You know, a lot of times people see that type of thing going on and they don't say nothing, right? And but he was like, "Nah, son, y'all did do that because it was a problem for Just as well." He was like, "Y'all did do that, man." And Deck was like, "Word?" He was like, "Yeah, son." And he was like, "Nah, you know, you ain't do it. They did it. Like, you know, Risen Divine and them was on that bullshit. Not y'all niggas. Y'all niggas is just doing your ones, and y'all just getting it from, you know, from up top." And so, you know, he was like, "Oh shit, my bad." So like, it was one of the type of things where a person just realizes that they were in the wrong position. You know what I'm saying? They held the wrong position, and he realized it. And he was like, by the time by the time the encounter was finished, it was all, "Yo, son, yo, son, we gotta," you know what I'm saying? And that's the way shit's supposed to be. Like it's cooler. You know, you're gonna have friction with people in this life. You heard? We're not always gonna agree. Some things is gonna be serious, but yo, rationale and justice gotta prevail because justice is one's penalty reward for the action they do on this earth. You know what I'm saying? And when we know we done wrong to somebody, man, being like, "Yo, my bad, son. You know, I was wrong for that. You know what I'm saying? I shouldn't have done that." And you bring a grievance to me, and in my wrong mind, I can't organize that. Whatever you said I've done to you, even if my perspective is different from yours. If I hear the pain in your voice, son, or that what you're describing to me, what happened to you as a result of my actions is real, I'm supposed to be able to say to you, like, "Yo, son, my bad, son. Like, yo, that wasn't even my energy. That wasn't even what I was saying. But yo, son, that you even went through that shit and it was on the strength of some shit that I did. My bad, my man." You know what I'm saying? And that's what Chris did for me. And I respect that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. The teacher. Well, everybody knows how I feel about KRS-One, the teacher. So I don't have to give my perspective. I saw the encounter and how it was handled. I saw it go down. I don't know what was said. It wasn't my business. That was between the two of you, and it was handled. But it's a great story. It's a great lesson for people. It's a great jewel. You know, absolutely. So, but you know, that's, I know there's a conversation we got to have about your rebuttal to speech. But before we get there, in the same vein of respect, I don't know if you caught wind of this.
I mean, you know, I was thinking about posting something about that, but I hesitate only because I just got finished saying something about what speech had to say, And I don't want to become one of these talking head know-it-all niggas, you know what I'm saying, to put it bluntly. You understand? But for Max B, who is at best a mediocre MC, say anything about someone like Kane, who in this moment will rhyme circles around him, you heard, if he wanted to. It's wild.
Right now, motherfucker. Right now.
If Kane decided he was like, man, fuck that shit. You know, Max B would be under the he'd be under the floorboard somewhere and did chopped in pieces. You know what I'm saying? Son is not. Kane is literally a monster. He was the only person that I ever saw go toe to toe with Chris on a stage and do his ones. Like, you know, Kane did his ones on that verses. Like, I was like, yo, I had Chris hands down. And Kane went on there and did his ones. I was like, this is shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, they niggas not fucking with Kane. You heard? And fucking, yo, listen, I be trying to be mindful of what I was like. I don't make no unnecessary enemies. But see, this is where the problem comes with, again, commercialism and marketing. People be believing that they drinking their own Kool-Aid. You know what I'm saying? They be believing. Hold on, can you do me a solid? Can you first let the audience know what went on real quick about with this situation? I swear to God, I got a piece so bad it's killing me. Right back.
So yeah, you got it. So what's going on is Max B was on with Gilly and Wallow on their show, and they were talking about top 100 MCs, and then Max B has said, I guess Biggie, Nas, maybe Jay, I think. And then, you know, he can go anywhere after that. Like, you know, so they started discussing other MCs throughout history who were important to the culture. And Big Daddy Kane's name comes up. And, you know, Max B gave his reason why he's better than Big Daddy Kane. And, you know, you guys could pull it up and see the whole video. But that's the gist of the matter. And while he's gone, so, you know, my take on the whole thing is basically there's a lack of understanding about what the culture is, what the music industry is, what the music business is, what the rap industry is, what was created in the 80s in terms of taking what was street culture called hip hop and getting it to mainstream channels, especially when markets are white. Like if you weren't a white pop artist, where hip hop right now is popular music, so when you put your stuff out, people are already engaged. There's a machine behind you to push your stuff. We got to that. It wasn't like that where a rap artist could just drop a record in the 80s and it get embraced by, the streets of course embraced it, but at radio, like that just didn't happen like that. You know, artists like Kane, KRS-One, Run DMC, LL Cool J, Curtis Blow, Houdini, Sugar Hill Gang, like they opened the door for us to be able to eat and put music out and have a market ready to listen to you. Like that had to be nurtured and built. So you can't just step in and compare yourself. They kicked down doors that was padlocked shut for niggas to eat. So for niggas to even open their mouth and compare themselves to any of the greats, shut the fuck up, because you're killing your own legacy, my G.
Like, yo, son, like, you know,
your own legacy.
You know, let me say, you know why well, the reason why I like Mike Tyson so much. I had experience with him once, and I which made me respect him a lot. But aside from that, you know, when they asked Mike Tyson about Muhammad Ali and could he beat Muhammad Ali, Tyson would be like, never. No, he's the greatest. You know what I'm saying? He's the greatest. You know, he's looking at cats like Jack Dempsey and what's my dude?
Marciano, Joe Louis,
and the bald-head brother that was dark-skinned brother that was back when they used to fight like this, you know what I'm saying?
Jack Johnson.
All right. So you know why I respect basketball players, that if you get to talk about Wilt Chamberlain and these kind of cats, you know what I'm saying, they be like, nah, son, don't compare me to Dr. J and them dudes, because That's not even. They don't get compared to.
No.
They don't get compared to. You don't say nothing but thank you to them. You don't say nothing but I mean for them, because the thing is that these are cats like, men like Jack Johnson was fighting in like workman boots and doing 15 rounds, 20 round fights, damn near bare knuckle with like, it'd be like this much cloth, you know what I'm saying, covering their hands. I mean, going for like hours worth of fighting in that
15,
road
20 rounds,
condition,
yeah.
where like winning, like you got the mafia breathing down your throat and all kind of winning came with a price, and you beating up this white man and this all white crowd, they ready to kill you. You know what I'm saying? And you can't compare yourself to no man like that. And you coming in with, high tech sneakers and 12 round fights and, mad, fairness, you know what I'm saying? And all kind of shit going on that you might not even survive in that. And then everything, part of it is built on what that person did. And had that person not did it, and you'd have been left to your own mechanisms, would you even make anything like what that person did? Could you even develop that fighting style if you didn't see somebody first know how to slip and roll off the jab? And like, if you ain't know nothing about that, if the sweet science hadn't been developed by generations of scientists before you, where would you start at? Would you end up starting here? Like, hey, Palooka, would you be doing that shit? Or would you be doing all this shit and, turning them off? Like, just shit like this, just turning your hand off the punch. That's something that develops over time. People don't know that instinctively. They don't know how the power generates or how that lines your arm up in such a way that that the force is distributed the right way. They don't know to turn off the hip when you're doing it. How power generated from your heel when you turn into a punch. People don't be knowing that. You don't just know that inherently. That's something that's why it's a sweet science, right? And people don't, you talking about cats, you talk about Will Chamberlain and Dr. Janum. Guys was playing in Converse. I can't walk around the streets in Converse for that. My plantar fasciitis and fucking, heel spurs and, saying, damn, you know what I'm saying? Before that shit hurt you, walk through the mall and you be taught. And these motherfuckers is playing hard ball. Ball hard, dunking, shit that was never getting done. They doing it, and you gonna tell me somebody wearing some Air Jordans with motherfucking air pockets in it, no kind of fly shit? You gonna compare that person to somebody that didn't? And mind you, and then here's the shit is that people don't be realizing that you talking about people that by the time you come around, like, all right, so like the point that there's a point you couldn't get past a certain minute mile. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to say the wrong amount of minutes.
Right, I got you.
There's like I can say a 4 minute mile.
Right.
And so this is phenomenon in reality that goes like, if you trying your best to do a 4 minute mile, you can't seem to do it. And then you see on TV somebody do a 3 minute 59 second mile. All of a sudden, after that, it become possible in the reality.
Yeah,
somebody can change in the entire reality by changing reality. Like everybody, all of a sudden, it becomes. You know what I'm saying?
To that point, right? You get a song like "Rapper's Delight." It changed reality.
Yes.
It created possibility.
Yes.
Right.
So you can't be like slighting no more. You can't. The hip hop. You don't pay for the G to all that beats and that. Yo, son, tell me how you would have did that. Let me hear your first rhyme. Tell me how you would have did that if you ain't never heard nobody rhyme before. If you ain't had all these other mugs that you was listening to that had established cadence. Like, yo, son, here's somebody that they don't talk about enough, right? Well, I think it's one of the greatest rappers. Let me rephrase it. One of the greatest contributions to hip hop. Period, and super unsung because what he brought to the table lyrically is it changed so much. Calente, Super Lover C.
Super Lover C. Oh my
Girls
God.
I got unlocked so similar to a prison. You know what I'm saying?
They calls it a favoritism. I heard it being dope, but this beats the mover, the choreographer.
In the Cogido maneuver. Yo, everybody that
God,
rhymes on double
ill,
tempo, everybody that rhymes fast, gotta bow down to him.
Yes,
I don't care who you are. You can't front on son. You can't front on Calente. This dude is he's a Mount Rushmore. You know, and unfortunately, because he caught a bad break being on the wrong label that couldn't do for him what other labels were able to pull off for other artists. Because the time that he came in was way before his time. He doesn't get to be in the pantheon of hip hop that he should be. You dig what I'm saying? But to say, like, if you want Max B not getting past him, Max B not getting past me, son.
No.
I walk that dude. I walk, son. This is what this is, because you know what it is that and those that know, right? So here's the thing.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Here's the thing. So you got people there's people that
right,
like.
So listen, I need you to take over while I go do this thing right fast.
All right, cool. I got your back. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Can you see it? Y'all still can hear me? I don't know. Hopefully. So here's the thing. You know what I'm saying? V. Thank you, Vita. You know what I'm saying? I gotta shout you out. Yo, fam, yeah. Here's the thing that's important for us to understand about hip hop that we not understanding. This some real shit. You know what I'm saying? Which is that you got like a few types of people that are rhyming that you know of. There's people that rhyme because they love hip hop, they love the culture, they love it in the entirety of it. So they just love it. So they into all of that shit. You know what I'm saying? I like to consider myself that type of person. You got people that rhyme because they got a little bit of a talent for it. And, you know, they might not necessarily be in the hip hop, but there's a couple of people that made songs. And as a result, they was like, yo, I'm gonna try to do that because the songs was dope and then your popular culture, so it inspired them to do it. But they're not necessarily into hip hop. So they don't be really knowing who's nice. They don't really know what's in this world of hip hop. They just know that they gonna give it up the best that they can. And then you got people that is into hip hop as a hustle or a way they make it out. You understand? So you got a lot of cats that in a lot of two components, the ones that's doing it for a hustle, the ones that's doing it as a way out, the ones that's doing it because they into the cult of personality, meaning that they're a big fan of so-and-so and so-and-so. So they don't really know what's what. You know what I'm saying? They don't really be knowing who's dope. So they talk out their ass because they be thinking that they was not what I call, but I watch a lot of manga, and there's this term they use, and it's like, they say it's you a frog in a well. So like you somebody that you think that you the king of the world because you the only frog in this well. You don't know that little bit of sky you see, that little dot of sky that you see that's at the top, you're not realizing how big the sky is. You don't realize how huge the world is. You think that this kingdom of this well that you're in is the world, and it's not. And that's where a lot of cats be feeling like that little bit of something that they know about is the world until they come out into the street and they get this shit dog walk. You know what I'm saying? And so, like a lot of y'all be thinking that because the cats you heard on the radio while you living out in West, on West Bubble fucking Chicken Road, you know what I'm saying, and come on in spot, like you think that that's all the hip hop. It's like that's not. You know what I'm saying? And like if your top 5 is just a bunch of motherfuckers that everybody know, then I don't think that you really know hip hop, because your top 5, your top 10, if you got top 5 and don't include at least one motherfucker that everybody ain't heard about, then you ain't really in the hip hop. If you're top 10 and you ain't got at least 1 or 2 people on there that's like, yo, Jazzy Joe, yeah, Jazzy, oh, that nigga nice, I know you ain't never heard of it. Like if you don't got one of those, if you don't got past that people in general don't know, you're not really in the hip hop. You're into cult of personality, or you, like I said, a frog in a well, where it's like you just know the little world that you exist in, and that's what a lot of these rappers that get to talking, and it's always a bug because the most ignorant people talk the loudest, right? But ignorant people be funny, you know what I'm saying, or they be silly, or they just be so overwhelmingly ignorant that they'll make a smart person look stupid. So it's like, you know, but I grew up arguing, so I'm all in for that. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, so you get these like dudes that don't really know. They don't, you ain't really been outside, son. Like you think because you've been on that 5-block radius that shot the toughest niggas in town. Go 10 blocks over and see what's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Talk that shit over there and see how you'll come home educated. You know what I'm saying? You would think that you the toughest nigga because you came from New York and then slip and go into Houston, Texas, and be in the slums of there and be like, oh, all right, let me chill with that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because you will know that murder, death is everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And with this rap shit, yo, you know, like, son, like if you ain't doing no time at Washington Square Park during the backpack era, if you wasn't doing no battles in Washington Square Park, if you wasn't fucking with no Lyricist Lounge era, if you wasn't really where niggas was rhyming at, you know what I'm saying? Where, you wasn't in the Village area where niggas was rhyming at during that time, you're not somebody and you my age, like you within our age range, you're not somebody, you can't talk to me about rapping because you don't even know who's nice. Like you don't even know who's nice. You just know what records came out. You know who was marketed well. That's what you know. You know who was well marketed to you. You know who was played on the radio 500 times in a row. That's what you know. You know who was talked about in the Source. You know who was talked about in Double XL. That's what you know. You know who got 5 mics because somebody paid for them 5 mics. That stuff gets immediate. People don't know. Like they don't even realize that this primary color that they use to sell shit to you. People don't even. And your hubris makes you think that you're this free thinking person, but you are not. You know what I'm saying? Your shit is dictated to you.
And respectfully, the people dictating ain't even from New York.
Come on. So now here it is. At a time when this matters, like when it really means something, that's a qualifier at this point, right? So it's like, yo, son, y'all niggas is not nice, son. That was well marketed. But you don't want that smoke for real. Cause if you son, I wish niggas would be stupid enough to think that. Like I would
Big Daddy Kane, if they did a Big Daddy Kane Max B versus.
But that, son, I'm in the box with like what 18 joints or something, like 13 joints. You know what I'm saying? So what does son know? You know what I'm saying? He only know what somebody fly on my kite to hear. You know what he don't know up from down. You know what I'm saying?
Artists
let's see what first you got
had 2-year run. Mm-hmm. Some of them had a 1.
Yeah, this burger. That dude's a burger like that. I mean, I don't even know why cats. I don't even.
So that music industry, the definition, like the culture is not the music industry. The music industry is entertainment, and that's not. You're being, like he said, you're being dictated to what to like. That's not the actual craft, and it's no knock on nobody either. Like there's a lot of artists in the mainstream, I think, are dope. I ain't hating on these motherfuckers at all.
It's whack, man. A lot of these niggas is whack, straight like that. Let's call it what it is, huh? We don't got miss words with these dudes. So now you got my NY Oil song coming out right now. Man, these niggas is whack. These niggas is whack. When you talk about this real rhyme, like, that's some shit. Like, niggas gotta start saying what it is, man. Like, these niggas is some trash. You know what I'm saying? He made up rhyme, all that so and so, but he know how to make a hit. No, nigga, he made a song that you was willing to work, and y'all put that $1 million. Yo, first off, y'all gotta understand something. A record label has, first off, millions of dollars to spend to convince you to like what they want you to like. McDonald's has a commercial on every day, all day, right? Not like you don't know McDonald's is a commercial, right? Like niggas know what McDonald's is, right? But you know what they want? They want to make sure that when you driving and you get that little hunger, that little miss meal cramp kick in, that the first thing you're thinking of is them golden arches. You heard? But they ain't got. Now, McDonald's is not making the best hamburgers of nobody.
No.
Them shit not even. They don't even rot. Like the meat don't even go bad.
In fact, the shit is poison.
All right, and but they are the best marketed restaurant chain in the world. Yeah, and that's a fact. But if you go, I can go to a number of places. I can go to a local dive and get a burger to make your mouth water. You be like, yo, this is
It's a brilliant burger with the peppers and the onions on that motherfucker. What? Come on, with the melted cheese and shit. You be like, this is a burger for your life. But they don't got no $billion marketing budget. They don't got no whole retail skill where McDonald's is not even about selling food. It's about real estate. But people don't know shit like that. You understand? Because they, like I said, you're a frog in a fucking well. You don't know. And when somebody try to tell y'all so hard-headed that somebody can't even put you on the right knowledge about what's really going on because your hubris don't want to admit that you could not actually know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, son, you don't know what you're talking. I'm telling you because I worked in this shit. I'm telling you, it's even the niggas that be claiming that they these music industry moguls, they full of shit. Why? How do we know? Because what innovations have any of these fucking music industry mogul motherfuckers come out with since? Ain't none of them leading the forefront of nothing technological. They're not coming up with no new innovations for what you should do with music. These motherfuckers don't know shit. They was gopher niggas. We know this for a fact. These niggas was gophers getting coffee for motherfuckers and got affiliated with an artist that exploded because of $1 million budget, where in record labels have what they call regional reps. So in every region, there's a motherfucker that know all the radio stations. There's a motherfucker that they got that knows all the college radio stations back when that was a thing for real. Got all back when hand to hand, when you used to go to a record store, you had a regional sales rep. Remember, you used to have to go to the one stops? Remember, you ever had to go to the one stops and shit? When they would go to the one stop before you even went to the store.
Queens, Long Island, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is shit that will go on that you're not even realizing. You know what I'm saying? How much money they paid for you to be on fucking Soul Train? How much money they paid for your record to get added?
I try to tell everybody when we was coming up, if you didn't have a strong relationship at the one stops, you weren't gonna sell the record. Had nothing to do with how dope you were. Had nothing to do with that. Had the relationship and the flip. And you know, anytime you on the underground doing the flip, and the people in control of that on another level ain't us.
And you can't compete with that. You know what I'm saying? Yo, your mom and pop burger stand ain't gonna compete if it gotta pull up right next to you. It's a rizzy for you. I don't care how good you cooking. It's a wrap for you. There's so many, and that's bottom line. That's why there's so many. That's why you can go on Instagram right now. If you go down the right algorithm strain and you fuck around, you start like click like on a couple of singing ass videos. You scroll up about 4 or 5 times. You'll be hearing shit. You're like, who the fuck is this singing good like this? I done found niggas I ain't never heard of ever. These people sing so good, it give you that feeling, that tingle, like you like that when you hear something good, make you want to cry. Like, oh, shit, nigga, like, you know what I'm saying? Just because you hear the note so good, you be like, that shit just do something to you internally, and you like, why this nigga ain't signed? Because these record labels is a bunch of bumbling ass niggas. They're not. There's no brilliance there. It's a methodology that they use to make sure that they win. It's a scam, bro. The fact that they keep playing the same song over and over and over and over and over until you are brainwashed. This is all marketing. Companies hire psychologists.
Absolutely. To figure out what you're going to buy.
What's going to fuck you over good enough to do what they want you to do. Propaganda is a real thing. These are concepts that people should know. If you did anything, but what happens is that a lot of the voices is often the dumbest, and a lot of the voices is usually these motherfuckers that was in the basement class in school. You got to go to their classrooms in the basement because these niggas was incorrigible. So these niggas are stupid. But now they out in the real world with everybody else like they normal, and they be put in a position as if they know shit. It's like, and I think the biggest problem that we got in the community, fam, is dumb niggas. You know what I'm saying? Because they talk so fucking loud and so boisterous, like they know shit, and these niggas don't know nothing.
What's the biggest problem in the community?
I said dumb niggas, you heard? Straight like that. Because these motherfuckers don't know shit, but they talk as loud as they can, and then what they do, they try to normalize their stupidity. You understand what I'm saying? And like they say, if you argue, you can be smart as you can sharp as a tack. But if you arguing with a dumb motherfucker, what's going to happen is you're going to look more dumb than that motherfucker look. You know what I'm saying? Oh, this nigga trying to talk smart y'all. Oh, this nigga trying to. Oh, you trying to use big words now? You using big words. Like niggas will make you look stupid because you trying to talk intelligently about a concept that they can't understand.
Let me ask you something, right? All right. So you're talking about dumb niggas, right? I have a concept called the currency of spectacle.
Come on.
Now,
Come on.
the music industry is what the music industry is, right? We know
Right.
it's a separate beast, right? But then with technology, it allows more independence, right? You're not as dependent upon major money, and you can still, you still got to play the game. Somebody put up earlier, it's still pay to play, right? You still got to buy ads, you still got to buy playlists, you got to put money into the machine in order for the machine to work. Currency of spectacle. How do you get people to pay attention to you in this sea of fucking social media? Everybody wants to be star. Everybody wants to be famous.
Come on.
How do you get people to pay attention to you? People have to sell their ass.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? And it becomes, how do I get attention? Currency of spectacle. I think that's what this Max B statement is. The currency.
It's spectacle. Let me say some outrageous off the wall shit. This gonna get niggas talking. But see, the problem with that is that, and this is the issue. Like, that's why I say culture over commercialism. The problem in that lies in the fact that, commercialism it implodes over time. You know what I'm saying? That's why things go out of style. When things become a style versus people's intuitive desire for it, when things come from culture to become a commercialized commodity, they're gonna sell it a certain way. And when they sell products, they sell sex, they sell violence, they sell hypermasculinity, they sell ignorance, because they know that. And this is one of the reasons why we made blue cheese to be the way blue cheese was, and why I named it blue cheese is because I had read a study and I had seen some documentary prior, right, damn near the day or two before, and they were talking about that. I was reading a paper, and I was reading Popular Science, because I was on that shit, and they were talking about that the average listener, when they're listening to music and stuff like that on the radio, are listening from a fourth grade reader's level.
Yeah,
and this is the same reason why some of the biggest songs only have 3 notes in it. Dun 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 dun. Dun, dun. I could write a bunch of bass lines, 3 note songs. You know what I'm saying? Dun 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 dun. You immediately start knowing. You know what songs I'm talking about. I could go on and on.
Love it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, and it's absurd, but it wins because people are not, fam, no disrespect to the world, man. And I'm not, because I'm just as subject to it as y'all. You know what I'm saying? Maybe to a lesser degree because I'm aware of it and I've worked in this, I've worked sales, I've had these experiences, I've been in the music business to see what goes on behind the scene. I didn't just go there to be no artist. I was trying to understand what was happening. You heard? I was trying to use this shit that I was seeing to my own advantage. And when I tell y'all that, it's not, I'm not saying these things, I get excited, I get a little aggressive about these conversations because I'm very passionate about it. But at the same token, toning it down a bit, fam, it's not your fault that the system, the psychology work because it worked, man. You know what I'm saying? It don't work because it don't work. It don't work because everybody's smart in it. The con don't work because the con ain't good. You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers ain't getting hit with 3-card money every time you're trying to run and get in the shell game. No, still to this day, niggas is getting caught with the shell game because the shell game don't work. The shell game work because it's built on, that's why it's called the con. Con is short for confidence. That's what it's called. It's a con game. It's called a confidence game. The science of it is that the people that you're going to run this game on are confident they're going to win. And how do you make them confident? Because what you do is you got 3 or 4 of your peoples is there with you. This motherfucker not realize that they rotating in and out, but they doing it. They come in, they play the game, and they beat the dude, and they get their little 1s or 2s. And now you looking at it being like, I can win this shit. I win this shell game. I seen where that was each time. I win it, unbeknownst to you that the con is in this is in play. They was waiting to get you confident, and then they suckered your dumb ass. You heard? And that's how that works. And you think that businesses is not doing the same thing. We got a motherfucker that's the president of the United States running the highest level of con that we ever see, the biggest con that we ever seen. And all the time, this motherfucker working niggas to the point. You just got finished in the introduction talking about how this cocksucker guy, people actually getting a reparation fund for motherfuckers that actually did an insurrection in the United States. Got some never unheard of shit. And this motherfucker, you got a president in office that shit his pants, literally.
He walks
And
around
people
with shit in his
forget,
pants.
people forget.
Niggas will bear. He purposely walking around shitty ass to see how much you want this money. How much? What you willing to do to get this money, nigga?
And you gotta hold your composure while you up under this motherfucker
I got
signing
this
papers.
crypto, I got this crypto deal for you. What
You
can
know
I
what I
get?
mean? And they come into it because you know they want to be nobles. You know what I'm saying? They want to be fucking royalty. So that's what you're seeing going on is people trying to create a royalty class again. But that I digress. To the people watching, yo, listen, don't allow yourself to be, don't try. My stepfather, God rest his soul, man. He used to say, I don't chow to no commercials and Superman don't need no cape. And I used to be like trying to figure that shit out for years. He'd run that shit, I don't chow to no commercials and Superman went no cape. What he was saying was, what I understand it to be now that I'm an adult, is that some of y'all get so, like the commercial be so good that you dance into the motherfucking commercial. Call 877-559-6300 now. You done did the dance, you know the song by heart. So when whatever the circumstances is, first thing you're doing is dialing 877-6755, whatever the fuck the number is. Because you already trying to take a commercial, you singing a song, you ain't never even tasted the product. You ain't never even seen that for yourself. You don't know what the fucking ingredients is, but you already sold before you even get to it. You understand? And then Superman don't need no cape. Meaning Superman don't need no cape to be motherfucking Superman. This nigga he's already Superman. Nigga, he's Superman when he got the Caucasian glasses on. This nigga don't need that cape. But y'all think that think that if the nigga don't got no cape on, he's not a superhero. You understand?
Not to throw a tangent at you.
Later on.
Do you watch The Boys?
And then I don't mess with it too much. I ain't go front, but I'm familiar with it. I'm very familiar with it.
I got back into it recently, but we say Superman don't need no cape. And we talk about Donald Trump, this nigga Homelander. It's like that tells you what it is right there. Everybody believes in this superhero who's just evil as fuck. Nigga, Superman don't need no cape.
And little do you know, the nigga with the cape is the worst nigga. This motherfucker is a sociopath.
Oh my
you understand? And at the highest level, like I know enough about it to know that much. Like I seen enough episodes to know this nigga's on a whole nother level. You know what I'm saying? That whole universe is screwed, right? And so we gotta start wisening up, man. And it's the thing why the dumbing down of society is real. The reason why they got you watching short form content is real because short form content got to come in bite-sized chunks and be a spectacle for you to be able to get caught with only a 30-second piece of content. Like you got to get caught you got to catch them up in the first 3 seconds of them seeing it flip. If they don't get oh shit, let me watch this shit for a minute. But 3-minute video, 10 minutes, 30-minute piece of content that's breaking some shit. That's a fucking documentary, people. We used to be able to watch some shit in 3 hours in a sit and just be sitting there like, all right. And then come out and discuss this shit. It's not but the dumber the population is,
more easy
the more shit they could get over on them. To the extent that now we got a president that, you remember when Barack Obama was in office, the motherfucker had the audacity to wear a tan suit? And niggas like to impeach him for wearing a tan suit. This nigga shit himself on multiple occasions where you see this shit coming out of his sock.
Nigga, walking around just shitty. Want this deal, nigga? It's got this deal.
He grab a woman by the pussy. Yo, do you know that you couldn't even use no word? Yo, you remember when what's this nigga name? You remember it was one of the presidential elections, and I forget what this dude's name is. White dude, obviously, Democrat, and he got fired up in the middle of the speech, right? He's like, they were gonna take over Maine, they were gonna take Florida, they were gonna take Florida, they were gonna do it, yeah! And he did this, yeah. And that shit was so cringy, right?
Howard Dean.
He did that shit, and it was such a cringe moment that he had to drop out the race. For being excited, son.
Absolutely.
Motherfucking that fake assassination attempts. It's doing but because they done dumbed you down so much, this population, they done got you so caught up in spectacle that you're numb. And so you can't think. Like, I had the hardest time watching TV now because I'm so used to scrolling. Like, I can't watch television without the phone in my hand.
Yeah.
You heard? And I be watching. I'm so mindful of it now. It's like, yo, I'm like, yo, let me put this bitch down, man. Put on the charger. I got to get it away from me because I'm so indoctrinated into this thing, and I be using it obviously to, because we do the entertainment business. So you trying to do your little, shit.
Yeah.
So you on it too much, and all of that to say, like, yo, family, man, we gotta. They running the game when it's so crazy. It's funny actually. You know what I'm saying? It's funny if it wasn't so serious, and that it's going to be the death of a lot of us at some point. And
the hell in the handbasket, bro.
Yeah, we really are, man. We in a lot of trouble, B. And I honestly think that by the time we really figure it out, man, it's gonna be it's gonna be too late for a lot of us, man. I wish that it was different than that, but it's how it is, man. It's just scary,
Yeah, it's we got caught up and distracted, and we're not on the same page. People don't understand the difference between organizing on a local level, however you do it. Book club, city politics, it could be what do you call it? Board of Education. It can be like getting involved in some type of organization where there's a chain of command, there's a division of responsibility, there's a way to practice working as a community. Because what's coming without community, you're not gonna survive it.
Not at all. Not at all. Because you're not going to be able to rely on services, and services are going to be commodified to such a degree that you ain't gonna be able to afford them, or you'll be either priced out, or you'll be forced into a rigid level of conformity, which they're trying to really roll out on us now, at threat of death or capture, or loss of social value. And like that's where like liberals and Democrats fucked us up, because that whole cancel culture around issues that were important, but nonetheless, it taught that, and they really, the first rollout of it was keeping it real. The second rollout of it was haters. You know what I'm saying? And then the final version of it was cancel culture, which is, if you criticize somebody, you're a hater. So now people have to start censoring, because you couldn't even have educated critique of something that you were experiencing, because you was a hater. You know what I'm saying? And or if you said certain stuff, you wasn't keeping it real. You dig what I'm saying? Now it's cancel culture, where the slightest offense is grounds to completely ruin somebody. And in some cases, this is important, but the problem with it was and is that now it's been appropriated to the degree that now you can't have dissent, and that's what the First Amendment is about, being able to have a dissenting voice against the things that are wrong in the population. And that's how growth happens, when we acknowledge that things are wrong. And because we're not given license to have the voice to say these things are wrong, then there's no space for growth or change or correction in the course. All that remains is the despotism. And if we think about what the Declaration of Independence teaches us, is like, that is to be wary of the despots and stuff like that, because that represents some of that's where the real problem is. As we're talking, I'm pulling up the Declaration, because there's something in there that I really want to share with you, B. That it's mind blowing if I can get to it fast enough. It talks about evidence has shown that Declaration of Independence. Just bear with me one moment. I'm pulling it up right for a second. Here we go. Check it out. So it goes, we hold these truths to be self-evident, right? Check this out. This is deep.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that amongst these are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Now watch this way it gets heavy. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its power in such a form as to them shall most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Right? So basically it's saying to everybody like, yo, governments are put together so that, we got that we could, keep shit organized, but it's built on what it should be built on. But if these motherfuckers start wilding out, you know what I'm saying, we have the duty and the right to abolish it, right? So it goes. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. Let me say that again, because this is extremely important, because this talks about the psychology of man. You know what I'm saying? It's saying that prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. Don't change the government. Don't change established institutions that serve the community for some bullshit, right? But evidence has shown, right, that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. People will suffer until they can't suffer no more before they change what's causing them suffering, right? But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the pattern and suffering of the colonies, and such now is the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. This is when they start getting into the history of Great Britain, and this is why this is why the Tea Party shit happened. This is why the American Revolution happened against Britain, because the Declaration of Independence and shit like this is shit that we not engaging in, because the dumbification shit, dumb niggas and all dumb shit, and you like somebody listening to this and be like, oh, you use all these big words on, shut your dumb ass up. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody be suffering this dumb nigga shit, and as a result, you can't get no right knowledge to nobody. You can't get no information on how this shit was assembled and what they really think about shit, how they really move, and why this country even exists. Because the very thing you're going through right now, and it's like, and it's telling you that, if this shit get hectic, you're supposed to do something about it. If your culture get hectic, if hip hop get hectic, we're supposed to do something about it. We're supposed to say something about it. We're supposed to step and handle that handle, because we will suffer as long as evil is sufferable. As long as I can live through it, it's like, I'm used to this. I'm comfortable. I don't really want to, shake shit up because, shit is peace. You'll deal with it. But when this shit get to a point you can't take it no more, you're going to do something about it. Well, again, we got people out here that have promoted ignorance, foolishness, dumb shit, the most lowest vibration shit in the world, and people in their weakness, even intelligent people in their weakness, wanting to go along and get along, and shame on intelligent people for doing that dumb shit, right? Not being man enough to stand up and say something in the face of that type of shit.
Well, the beauty in the whole Big Daddy Kane Max B controversy is that so many people stood up for what was right. So
and that's good, because as they should, right? But that has a lot to do with Kane being Kane, right? So Kane has equity.
Being Asiatic, nobody equal, nigga.
He has equity at a level that, like, you're not gonna say nothing slick about Chris without no serious blowback. You're not gonna say nothing about Kane without no serious blowback.
Chris probably would have already had a diss record going out.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it should have been already. It happened. It should have been. It's already in the air. It's the one thing he ain't say nothing already. You know what I'm saying?
He just might.
Him. Yeah, he's not fucking around.
Kane is his man. They did the verses, but there's an old story of KRS and Melody.
Yeah, helping him and Moni. He helping him and Moni Love move out their house.
Yeah.
You
That's
heard?
crazy. That's crazy.
And you not people not realizing that if I got it right, and I'm gonna say based on what I was observing, it seemed like Kane was advocating for Chris to get on in the movement of the verses. Like, yo, I told y'all niggas, like he was like, yo, Timberland, I told you, this the nigga that like this the nigga to fuck with, like he doing shit. And so you talking about people that is beloved because they understand the brotherhood of this shit. They understand that this is with the community of it, and these are people that got ties that's still waters run deep. You know what I'm saying? You thinking that, you just seeing people just seeing like the music. They're not understanding how deep this shit go and why certain people take this so serious and why these casual ass motherfuckers that don't got no real authority other than the fact they got themselves a little fucking microphone, and pardon my language, but they got this little microphone and a little roadcaster or whatever, and they feel like they qualify to all of a sudden jump on and be podcasters and shit like that. And it's like, yo, son, where's your bones at? Like, what you do that earned you the right to even talk and try to low level intellectualize something that you know nothing about? And hence,
he said he was like 10 years old when Kane was rocking. Like you
can shut up then. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say nothing about that. If I was 10 years old, yo, son, it's yo, son.
10 years old is old enough to understand. For me, 10 years old is, so you understand, like Kane, Chris, Public Enemy, Brother J, X-Clan, Native Tongue. When I say we got to give credit to those who did something like this, there was nothing else that existed like that. You talking about street MCs, conscious, whole regalia is red, black, green, Afrocentric, indigenous, talking nothing but upliftment, positivity. This is coming out of the crack era. I mean, this is really actually in the heart of the crack era. We went from, you know what I'm saying, get money to red, black, green, conscious. And it wasn't just New York. This was pockets everywhere around the country where the vibration was just like some reminiscent of some late 60s vibe. But the artists, the rap artists, the hip hop artists represented the spirit that existed. Like in a sea of white power, nigga, we created a lane for black people to say we proud to be black, and it got commercialized.
Yo, somebody had the nerve to tell us
King Asiatic,
nobody equal. Yo, Chuck D literally said, "Move as a team, never move alone." Well, welcome to the Terror Dome. Like, Sons really was saying that to us. You know what I'm saying? Like, Sons was really giving us straight. You talking some real Black Panther-esque. You know what I'm saying? Revolutionary doctrine. I mean,
S1Ws.
And and I'm gonna tell you what. And I'll tell you where, for me, where it starts, where I seen it start, where I seen the whole we gonna reorganize, and I say we, the power structure that wants to keep people in despotism. Cook figured it out, and it was in the form of the source. First of, the real truth of the source and how it starts. And we look at the climate now, how Israel and what they do and how they've been engaged in, American politics, and you really know how all this starts, then you understand that this is another thing that was put in place that, back in the day, we didn't call it influencers, it was called opinion makers. Okay. And what people don't know is that an opinion maker, right? The person that puts out the list, that's why I don't like top 10 lists and nothing like that, not because I ain't on them, And I had no expectation of it because I know that wasn't marketed enough for people to know how nice I am, right? So that's not no concern of mine. My concern is that such a thing exists because I know how mind fucks work because I've been in this business enough and I understand the business of mind fucking, right? And how it works is that the person that makes the list is in control. Who the fuck is Oscar? And how come anybody gives a fuck who he gives an award to? You understand? He's the person giving out the awards. That's all he gotta be. You understand? There ain't no Oscar. Oscar is just a group of bunch of other actors and music executives that's giving out awards to motherfuckers to play along with their rules. You know what I'm saying?
It's a privately run organization that decide what they want.
Come on.
It's an academy.
It's the Academy Awards. And the Grammys is the same. You know what I'm saying? And anybody could become a Grammy thing, but you gotta first be recommended. You don't just get to be. You can't just hold off and become a Grammy nominator. You have to be recommended. You got to get fathered in to some extent. So that's a whole bunch of going on to get along shit. And also having the finances to be able to afford to become one. Now here's the thing, but because they put together the list become valid. I remember years ago, me and my wife had a track club called Team Tsunami Track Team. It was for the babies in the community, trying to get them off the street. And kids outside all the time at night, trying to smoking weed and stuff like that, and we was trying to offset that. And so we was having a track team, and we went from about 3 kids to about 40 kids, buying them sneakers and all of that shit, man. We're going to be in the poorhouse because of it, you know what I mean? And make a long story short, come the end of the year, my wife was like, she wanted to do a track team like awards for everybody's contributions and the work they did and how they got busy and all that. And so we did it, and I said, listen, let's do an award for this organization, let's do one for the Urban League, let's do one for this group called Brothers Care, let's do one for my man Diverse, this brother that was in our town, these dudes were doing really good work in the community. And my wife was like, why? They didn't do nothing for, Tsunami Track. And I was like, because the person that gives out the awards is the person that's in charge. You understand? If we give out the awards, we're the people that award them if we're the one that recognize them. The person that gives the award and recognizes gets in control. You know what I'm saying? And that changed the whole social dynamic of what me and my wife was in Staten Island because we were the one giving out awards. And it's just a simple science. It wasn't nothing nefarious in it. I just knew that, if we wanted to gain more status in what we were doing and try to get more movement, this is what's going to work because I know the nature of awards. And lists are the same thing. So are mics. So if I give you 5 mics, I crown you something. I have the capacity to do that. Now, if I crown you the person that had a perfect album, and I crown the other dude as the person that had a mediocre album or a trash album, I had the capacity now to change how much you can sell, how valuable your commodity is. And in so doing, now you have to pay me to be able to get the mics that you want. Somebody gonna get that under the table. This is all business and commerce. But the trick is to put yourself in the position to be the one that's awarding the mics or the stars or the records or the whatever. We got to be the one to do that. If we the one to do that, if people pay attention because we the first one to do it, then guess what? Everybody go and listen to what we say. Even though we ain't there put song the first out, ain't wrote rhyme the first, ain't did shit that bonafide. Nigga, you not even, have you've been to the source on multiple occasions, and I'm sure that you walked through there and had the same feeling I had, which was, who these niggas? What are y'all? Who the fuck is y'all? Like, I wouldn't even be chilling with y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know who are you that you even would dictate this shit to anybody? You're like, who? Y'all just some wannabe media. Like, what that niggas talk? Who the fuck is y'all niggas? Ain't nobody. Y'all don't be in no club. Y'all don't turn shit up. Y'all don't be partying. Don't nobody know you from nothing. You wasn't no nothing. You wasn't no nobody. You were a burger. You were nobody. And yet you should be a button, put yourself in position that you can say whatever you want.
I had that exact experience, with somebody from the source, where he questioned who I was, and it got kind of contentious, got kind of a little excited. So 2 gentlemen that I knew stepped up and was like, "Yo, Hakeem, who this nigga?" So he was like, "Yo, who they supposed to be?" It was Crazy Legs and Grandmaster Cass.
And you got a lot of that going on. People, they get it now. So now the version of it that we know is the podcast.
You're trying to qualify how hip hop I am, and you don't even know who
You don't
Grandmaster
even know hip
Caz
hop.
is, and you don't even know hip hop.
It's like, yo, that's wild to me. You know what I'm saying? Or because you got the money to buy some podcast equipment that you think that puts you in a position to all of a sudden become a talking head. It's like, yo, so we got to stop that. And such is the case with my good brother's speech from Arrested Development.
Uh-huh.
And this is why I found myself, responding to his
So
thought.
what exactly did he say? What was exactly his point?
He doesn't really have a point, if you ask me.
Well, big shout out to speech.
But what I get him saying is that Drake is the #1 rapper, and not in that way that we mean rapper. He's saying the #1 rapper, like he's #1 cat that's rhyming. You know what I'm saying? And he's saying that, no one had a run like his 12 years, and and he's dope, and ain't nobody had the impact that he's had, X, Y, and Z, and had this who no one could get. It's difficult #1 to get on top and then to stay on top for so many years, X, Y, and Z. You heard? And I'm like, son. Now I personally took umbrage to it because I'm like, because he references himself as like, I think I'm a rhymer is what he calls it. I'm a rhymer, and I think I'm great. You know what I'm saying? And but I was only around for 3 years, and I'm like, son, I'm not even going to disrespect boy because he's a man though, regardless. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a good man to the extent that he took his opportunity with his music and his chance when he was signed to make music that was on the uplifting side versus, speaking to the lower level. And when things switched up, he didn't allow himself or his group to switch up. They stayed on the shit they was on. And so I respect him as a man. Let me say that first and foremost. And like I said, all conversation in combat, he represented himself as sharing his opinion. And at the end of his build, he is asking, so what's your opinions? What do you think? And I took that as an invitation to respond. And using the very tools that's available to you on Instagram, I responded because you can definitely turn that shit off where people can't respond or can't write no comment in your comment section if you just wanted to say what you wanted to say and ain't want nobody to be able to rebut to it. And people need to be more mindful of that shit. If you're gonna post something and you feel some kind of way about people saying something or responding or disagreeing with you, then turn the fucking feature off. If you don't know how to use the motherfucker, don't be mad at me because I take the opportunity to respond to what you're saying. If you're saying some overboard shit. Now, I think one of the other things I think it's too many dumb nigga voices. And I'm leaning into that because I want to call things what they are. We got to stop mincing words with people because we want to be so understanding of the lowest frequency. We always understand the lowest frequency, but every time we allow them to shit on a higher level, you know what I'm saying? And it was just crazy to me, right? You know what I'm saying? We ruin brilliant minds in our community because we call them acting white because they learn or they know some words that we don't normally use in the fucking low educated hood. You know what I'm saying? Where where the tax dollars don't reach, so we can't access education that's worthy of our minds and our brilliance. So you sit there, you call brilliant mind fucking acting white as if being intelligent is the providence solely and exclusively belonging to white people, which is fucking in and of itself crazy.
But speech though.
Pardon me, I digress. So, but the thing is that what happens is that but the reason why I was saying this is because what's going on now is that intelligent minds, right, thoughtful minds, are failing to engage the stupidity. So what speech is saying is stupid because he's quantifying greatness by commercial sales, and commercial sales do not quantify greatness because, like we discussed earlier, record labels have $1 billion. At the time that he came out, EMI was worth $3 to $4 billion.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So how do you got a $1 billion company with regional reps all over the world, much less the country, working your record?
And hip hop is pop culture at that point.
And you know what I'm saying? And so now they wrote your record. You think you was dope? You think you was better than Wild Pitch got picked up by EMI. Wild Pitch had Main Source, Main Source, Lord Finesse, Show Rob G, the UMC, the KOOL, fucking you know what I'm saying? Entice, uh, 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 Gangstar,
Damn.
shit. I could go on. There's a few people was on Wild Pitch, right? That was like notables. You know what I'm saying? And have serious impact. There's no Nas without Wild Pitch because Main Source was signed to Wild Pitch, and Main Source was who had Nas on the barbecue.
Yeah.
Where he gave us the line that blew him up. You know what I'm saying? When I was 12, I went to hell for stumping Jesus. You heard?
I was at Red Zone too when that famous performance of Main Source with Nas live at the barbecue, Akinelli. I was there.
Akinelli is another one. That's Haas's cousin. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I was there when Jay-Z showed Nas his first tech. I showed you my first tech when I saw it. That I was there. I was on that. That was on a stop on the goddamn tour we was on. Jazz, the Main Source, UMC, and the UMC, and Jazzo, Main Source, UMCs, and yeah, it was just the three of us. All three of out there. I think those was just the three of us, if I remember correct. And we was on tour together. And when we stopped in DC, that's when Cats had their people driving down, and Nick Exotic, Nas, and Akinelli came down and performed the barbecue with Main Source, and Jay-Z came down to perform Hawaiian Sophie with Jazzo, and they was at the hotel, and my man Quaz was sharing a room with Jay-Z because they didn't have rooms for them, but he was like, we, by that point, it was family. So everybody was with whatever. And Quaz calls me like, yo, Kim, come up here real quick. So my silly ass come running up thinking something funny going on because Jay-Z and my man Quasi's a hilarious dude. It's funny enough, Jay-Z is hilarious. These niggas is like pure comedy. You know what I'm saying? Not silly nigga comedy, but they just highbrow funny. You know what I'm saying? And so I come running up because I know something funny going on. And showing up, I walk out, hey, what's going on? I'm all bouncing off the walls. What's going on? Some pulls the mattress back, and there's a Tech 9 under the mattress. I never seen no shit like this before in my life. You know what I'm saying? Now, I've seen handguns, but I never seen no Tech. That shit look like a fucking some shit from Transformers to me. You know what I'm saying? And that was the same day that Nas seen that shit, and niggas trying to violate us because somebody screwed somebody's girl or was trying to back somebody's girl up. So they try to come in and bum rush shit, and it was Jay-Z and Harry Fobbs, rest his soul, that back niggas down. Jay-Z specifically back niggas down. So when you hear that, when that battle went on, and you hear that line, I showed you your first tech, and you with Nas Profess. Then I heard your album about the tech on your dress. That nigga telling you the truth. That's what really happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, people don't know. But, all that to say that, you think that Speech think that, you think that because y'all had a 3-year run, which UMC's had a 3-year run, you heard? Main Source had a 3-year run. You think that y'all niggas was rocking, you think you superior to UMC's? You think you can fuck with me? You think you can fuck with all these niggas that I'm talking about?
Yeah, see, all right, so that's a level of the conversation in terms of like just there's different like niggas is battle rappers, niggas is cypher rappers, motherfuckers. Some people are songwriters, some people are just a rapper, like they're not in the trying to battle. Not Drake is a songwriter, he's a rapper. He's does he write punchlines and battle raps? Yeah, he does, but that's not where his success come from. He
right,
ladies, pop, he's party, he's like that's and we get that. You find out a lot of people are writing for him. So as soon as I know like other people are writing so much of your stuff, I'm not talking about a song here, a song there. I'm talking about like, or just some add-on, we in the studio together, you giving me ideas, just feeding me, you should write about this. No, I'm talking about niggas just writing, you
no, he steals people's like he's taking cats word for word.
I can't put you in the same room as Jay-Z, to be honest with you.
But see, here's the thing. He don't even we're not even at that.
This one nigga.
He's not even He's not even engaging that component of. That's not even a discussion in his build. His build is that Son has had commercial success for 12 years, and as a result, he is the greatest of all time.
He's a commodity.
And I'm
Shrek
saying
is
to
not
myself,
great. Shrek, listen, Shrek is not greater than The Godfather. Just
listen,
ain't. It was
listen.
movies. It's a movie. It's the Shrek is not greater than Godfather. It's not.
You know what else is that we have to recognize that the dude is not a rapper nor an MC. He is a hip hop performer. He's an entertainer. That's different than someone that actually traffics in the craft of rapping or MCing. Like, I'll give you a great example of someone that people might call a rapper. You might call Freedom Williams a rapper because it's quite the type of music that he made, which was what could be considered like party rap or house type rap or EMD rap or whatever, you want to try to articulate it to be. But what people don't understand is he is an MC, though, at the highest caliber, because it's very difficult to know how to let a track breathe and space your words, move, dance to the floor, and the rhythm jump in it. Because what we gonna do, we gonna jump on that shit and be like, hey, yo, the lyrical flow, and that there's a skill set in knowing when where was called the negative space, how to let negative space work in your vocals. You know what I'm saying? And Freedom knows how to not only attune his voice perfectly, but he knows how to use negative space. So people would think you would listen to somebody like Will I Am, and you not realize this dude is MC at the highest level because they know how to attune and work a particular style of music at a level that you cannot. Even you get somebody like what's that dude's name? Dude from Florida, Flo Rida. Yeah, he's nothing. These dudes are like, you're thinking because the kind of music, because there's this whole mind fuck that happened that was orchestrated unfortunately by EPMD to some extent when it was campaigning they latest shit when they was talking about, no sellout. That there was this whole campaign about, anything that wasn't hood and gutter and hood, hoodies and Timberlands and, baggy jeans was crossover, right? And what ended up happening is that all that conscious, all of that fun, all of that intelligent, all of that thoughtful, all of that abstract hip hop that had made this wide, diverse panorama of hip hop that we grew up with got labeled as happy rap. You understand? And so it became dark to be intelligent. It became corny to be intelligent. It became corny to be fun. It became corny to be different. To the point that niggas wasn't allowed to smile in pictures.
No. Everybody ice grill.
You heard? So now what happened is that started to promote conformity. You dig it? And therein is the beginning of where we see now where everybody sound exactly the same. So this happens long before we get to the space that we in now. We talking about this shit like as if the kids that's doing it now is the ones that architect it. It is not.
It's us.
We did that.
Whenever you ask what's wrong with these kids, the answer is always the adults. Always.
Yes, sir.
We set the stage, we set the standard. And, being artists, being MCs, lyricists, rappers, we're very familiar with the phrase dumbing it down. And, people don't understand the dumbing down process wasn't just about entertainment. It's about how you see the world, how you see yourself.
That's right.
When you don't respect your legacy, you're cutting your own strength. You're disconnecting yourself from your own strength. And that's something that we see happen with our people and our culture.
And I felt compelled to say something to speak. And again, I'm speaking a little more aggressive than I did in my discussion, considerably more, because one, even though I totally and vehemently disagree with his point of view, and I think that is troubling and damaging, right, for him to say that, and considering that he have over 100,000 people that follow him, and even to this day, Arrested Development remains a very significant group. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I think that so I was mindful to measure my thoughts when we, as I said what I said, because as you know, for my own in respect to my blackness, man, you know what I'm saying? I feel like, you know, it's unbecoming to jump up and always be in you know, like every time somebody say something, you got to come with this high level of vitriol and son, you fuck that nigga. Like, son, it's not that deep. Like, relax. You know what I'm saying? We can disagree without being disagreeable, like you said. You know what I'm saying? And all conversation in combat. And truthfully, I believe that a lot of times people talk crazy is because they talk crazy because you start getting all emotional and talking nuts because you're passionate about an issue. But even worse than that, or more significant than that, is that you just don't know what you're talking about enough to articulate your argument well enough. You know what I'm saying? But if you actually knew what the fuck you was talking about, then you wouldn't be one offended because you're mostly upset with yourself because you can't say what you mean.
Yeah. Can I
Right?
add on? Can I add
Go
on?
ahead.
Right?
Go ahead.
Because it's also it's like context is everything, right? So sometimes people are speaking from a specific context, like record sales, right? And that's where your conversation is. And if you would just, you know, broaden your perspective, which I know he's aware of in terms of cultural impact, and how do you measure cultural impact? How do you measure, you know, okay, we do things right now in streams, but how do you measure cassette tapes being dubbed over and over and over and over again, or copying shit off the radio and spreading it around over and over and over? You talked earlier about, you know, relatives sending cassettes in the mail, traveling distance. How do you quantify all that? You know, with the impact on the culture, again, in a world where this didn't exist. We was, you know, not us per se, but the earlier generation was kind of creating a field of existence for there to be a Drake, for there to be anything that came after. Like, how do you compare that to say Drake is the greatest? It wouldn't be Melly Mel, it wouldn't be Grandmaster Cass, it wouldn't be fucking, you know, like, it didn't exist. You talking about Grandmaster Cass wrote most of Rapper's Delight, arguably the greatest rap record of all time. Like, how do you quantify that or qualify it?
You know, how do you compare, or why would you compare yourself to somebody? How do you compare to somebody like Houdini? You know what I'm saying? Child Lil and Ecstasy. Rest in peace to one of the greats. And shouts to Child Lil.
Yeah.
The true gentleman, you heard. How do you open your mouth to not even, son, in order to be able to have the same impact that they have, you would have to be able to open a market that is so disconnected to what you're doing that he would have to open up, he'd have to create a market in like Mars, like Martians and shit. We have to start fucking with hip hop in order for him to be able to say that what he done is at the same caliber as what the Houdini did. Houdini was able to turn with songs like The Freaks Come Out at Night, Friends, you know what I'm saying, and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? With song Funky Beat, shit like that. You know, but really, Freaks Come Out at Night and Friends, right? That opened the hip hop market to adults who theretofore thought hip hop was a flash in the pan trend. You understand? In order for them to achieve that same ratio, right? You would have to. There's not enough streams that you can get in a system where you can literally, all you got to do is turn your phone on, what you got in you on time, and listen to somebody's shit on your screen. You can't compare.
You gotta wait to hear the shit on the radio. You might be in the car and you hear it. You might be at home. You sitting up late night waiting to record it, nigga. You ain't
how could you compare a motherfucker that got 1 million streams to a motherfucker that sold 1 million records, where people literally put their little money together and went and bought a $7 record, $10 record out the store, went to the store, not no Amazon shit. You heard? Not no yeah, you know what I'm saying?
not Amazon. That shit wasn't DoorDash to their ass. They had to take their ass out the house, pay cash money, because when those credit cards like that heavy, you know what I'm saying, and go cop that album. How do you compare yourself using some modern technology shit? You know what I'm saying? That would be equivalent to somebody that is like, I'm building a website right now, right? And that would be the equivalent to, I'm using this AI thing called Base 44, it's an AI module. So it's doing all the heavy lifting for me. I'm working out the prompts with Chat GPT. So I'm AI heavy with this shit right now, right? Yo, I've coded because I was a data center technician. And before that, I went to school for tech support for mainframe, mid-range, and personal computers. So I know shit like C++ and, you know what I'm saying, Michael for certified when that shit meant something, and JavaScript and shit like that, and HTML. You know, so I know all that shit, even fucking shit, I can't think of it so long, but you know, the shit like the codes, anyway, long story short, the work that I'm doing now, I ain't gonna compare to no motherfucker that coded Facebook 30 years ago, 20 years ago, you know what I'm saying? Damn near 20 years ago now. I ain't gonna, but how you comparing to somebody that coded fucking AOL online and figured out, are you gonna compare some shit you did, some AI shit that you had put together? Cause now it's the popularity of it and the infrastructure supports being able to do it to such an extent that you doing it and it becoming popular is easy because everybody got a fucking phone. How do you compare it to somebody that had, and motherfuckers know Michael Jackson, for example, in places where they never seen white men.
Nigga, he was the most recognizable person
Human being of all.
For a good 20 years of his life.
No, he still is. That's the crazy shit. To this day, he's the most recognized human being that has ever lived.
You see the video they found Michael Jackson, the old looking nigga was on the bus in South America somewhere. You ain't see that shit?
I've seen it.
Michael Jackson. This nigga got a movie out right now. He's trying to duck and dodge.
It's real, son. So I'm telling you, like, people don't really understand that. How do you compare Jack Johnson to Mike Tyson? When Jack Johnson, I'm just out of curiosity, I'm curious to see it. How old was Jack Johnson when he
Jack Johnson, they created the Mann Act for the Mann Act is what Puffy got charged with, which is transporting women across state lines.
Yeah, right.
Jack Johnson had white women all over him, and he liked that. So he set out to capture my man. He ended up taking his boxing license from him. He couldn't work, couldn't put hands on them white men. It was ducking them. It was scared of Jack Johnson.
Now check it out. Check this out. Let me mess with your head real quick. Let me mess with the people watching his head. Well, shout to everybody if y'all been watching 3 hours worth of just we're no better than y'all. Thank you for sitting with us so long, right? So check it out. Jack Johnson watch this shit. This is crazy. Jack Johnson was 60 years old when he won his last professional fight in 1938. 60 years old. All right. Let's see. How old was Mike? How old was Mike Tyson?
Mike Tyson just had a fight with Jake Paul about 3 years ago. Did that count?
Mike Tyson was 58 years old when he lost to Jake Paul.
Jake Paul. I don't really count that though.
We know what it is. But I'm just saying.
What's the fight before Jake Paul? What was it? Was Lennox Lewis the last fight?
Let me see. Who was the last person Mike Tyson fought before Kevin McBride?
Okay.
And how old was
Roy Jones? Nah, that's right. He did fight Roy Jones, but that was another exhibition. We don't count that.
Right.
Even though he showed Roy Jones he'd hurt him, and Roy Jones was like He don't want Mike for real, for real.
So look at this. Check this out. Before the 2024 match with Jake Paul, Mike Tyson's last professional boxing match was a loss to Irish heavyweight Kevin McBride on June 11, 2005. McBride was 32 years old at the time, and he won when Tyson failed to come out in the 7th round, resulting in a TKO. You know what I'm saying? Tyson's official professional career ended following the fight, with a 38-year-old retiring on his stool because he felt he no longer had the heart for the sport. He was 38 years old. How do you, just because we love Iron Mike, and Iron Mike is our generation's, superpower, like he was our superhero fighter.
Yep.
And Iron Mike was knocking him out in seconds, and I love Mike Tyson. There's no disrespect to him at all. You heard? But Mike Tyson was stopped officially and completely at 38 years old. Jack, how do you compare a man that fought, even no matter how devastating he was, how powerful he was in his prime, to a motherfucker that won his last fight at 60 years old? That was whooping ass till 60 years old. These are two different breeds of human being. And once again, if you look at a picture of what Jack Johnson was wearing, you would be like, that nigga might as well have been fighting barefoot and you know what I'm saying, bare knuckle fighting. Straight that word up. You know what I'm saying? Come on, let me see what you got, Sonny. Like it,
why I order?
You know what I'm saying? Why I order? You know what I'm saying? That's what kind of fighting they was doing. And this is what this man fought. And you gonna tell me you gonna try to compare yourself to somebody? And that's why I respect Tyson too, because he never does that. He never lets nobody do that to him. You know what I'm saying? Never let somebody have a mental conversation where he talking crazy like that. You understand? And so, of course, he understands what this thing is about. So he would never try to put himself in no position to compare himself. I would never have ever put myself in no position to compare myself to Houdini or the Kid and Play. Kid and Play to me is like, if you talk about greatest, these two is amongst the greatest. Only people that compare the Kid and Play to me is Run DMC. You know what I'm saying? And Houdini. It's that's the pantheon of hip hop.
I think Run DMC is the greatest of all time.
They have to be, because what they do is when it comes to, and I'm you know why I don't get into the greatest thing though, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because there's no such thing as greatest in art.
No, you're right. It's all subjective. And let me qualify what I mean by the greatest, right?
Yeah,
like,
please.
It's the kick in the door impact. It's like part of why Mike is the GOAT, Michael Jackson is the GOAT to me, is because he literally created space where there was none.
Come on.
And he did it with such, like, Mike went pop without losing his soul in his music, I'm talking about. And I don't think he lost his soul outside of music either. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying that in terms of the listener and the fan, when we saw Mike at his biggest, even though he had this, the vertigo, the vitiligo, and he had the hair, and he was still a black man. He still stood up for black people. He stood up for oppressed people. He was a philanthropist. He was things that a young black artist wasn't supposed to be.
Michael Jackson was 10 years old.
Come on. You niggas understand this nigga was giving you records as a 10-year-old like the nigga was a grown-ass man. And nigga, I'll be there. Listen to I'll Be There. This nigga's 10 years old singing I'll Be There. And you be like, yo, in order to sing it like that,
he was 11 years old singing I'll Be There.
How do you interpret it? How do you deliver it? The pitch.
How do you know yourself well enough to be able to sing I'll Be There? Look over your shoulder, honey. Ooh. Come on, man. Like, how do you sing Never Can Say Goodbye?
No, nigga.
Even though the pain and heartache seems to follow me wherever I go, though I try to hide my feelings, they always seem to show. They say, "Turn around, you fool," and I always have to say, "No, what? Who? What? Get out of my."
How does he know how to sing that?
How do you and then do that from 10 years old to the
For the
day
rest
he died?
of his life.
Can do that, and then he do that to the point that people are literally having conniption fits where they're
Passing out.
fainting.
These
You know,
niggas is 300 yards away fainting because he's in the area. Mike's in the area. Oh, niggas fall out. See that motherfucker. I got a chance to see Mike in the Sony building. Elevator went up to the wrong floor. I stepped off. Mike was there, surrounded by a bunch of Japanese dudes. And the elevator door was closed. And I was like, yo, Mike. And the elevator door closed. I was like, oh, shit, nigga, Michael Jackson.
They said, I asked, did anyone die seeing Michael Jackson, right? Because that's a common joke.
Oh,
But there's no evidence that anyone ever died directly from seeing Michael Jackson perform or in attendance at his concerts. While it is true that extreme emotional hysteria and fainting were incredibly common during the shows, with thousands of fans sometimes passing out from heat, thousands of fans sometimes passing out from heat, dehydration, and excitement, concert organizers and medical teams were always heavily staffed to handle these reactions. You come on, son. Like you can't. How do you even? Come on. Like how do you just gotta leave it alone, son?
Like so, when we think of hip hop culture, right? And we know dance is such an important part of hip hop culture. Talking about the moonwalk, which is the backslide, but the moonwalk. When you talk about pop locking, electric boogie, the robot, was Mike the first one to bring hip hop to the mainstream? Really?
I'm gonna tell you what.
Culture. I don't know.
I don't know. I because like I say, you know, because you mentioned, I personally would say Blondie is. You know what I'm saying? Blondie was mainstream enough that I could give her that because when she did it and she did, you know, because remember that Fab Five Freddy told me everybody slide.
That's 1979.
Yeah,
you know, Mike is doing the robot on the Sunday and Cher.
Yeah, but that's black culture. That's not hip hop culture. We doing. He's not popping on some hip hop shit. He's doing the robot was that had nothing to do with hip hop. When the robot was, I remember the robot. You know what I'm saying? I was doing the robot.
I'm also, you know, just to let you know,
that's when you had to hit that shit like this. You had to hit that shit and go, you know, do the arm like this.
Absolutely. My man on Dave Chappelle be running around like this and shit.
That's what I'm talking about.
The moonwalk was what, 83, but the moonwalk was really in the 70s.
Yeah,
Jokers was moonwalking, but Mike put it on the stage with the Soul Train.
But he got that from
Shalimar.
Shalimar, yeah, and he was a Soul Train dancer, so that's where he caught that from. But you know, but that's the nature of dance anyway. You want to see somebody everybody. That's either that go back to tap dancing, which Mike was an accomplished tap dancer too, where it's called selling trade, what they used to say. You know what I'm saying? Where you come out because like tap dancers come outside, and I used to be I was tap dancing when I was a kid, so I know about this shit because of that, right? So you go outside, man. You bring out your little thing. You put some sand on the floor, whatever, soft shoeing, or if you was hitting the straight taps, and you do your steps. Somebody else might come around, try to peep your steps, and they start to steal your trade. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's my trade. It's how I work. You know what I'm saying? It's my work moves right here. And then you try to steal them shits from them, cause you try to go down a block and hit them same shits to try to get that money. You try to cut his throat. So stealing trade is a reasonable, is an understandable, is an understood component of dance, and also is how certain steps become important, in the community. But Michael Jackson, I mean, he was picking it up from everybody, from Sammy Davis Jr., from Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly. These are people that he loved, you know what I'm saying? From Bob Fosse, you know what I'm saying? I mean, these people that he watched and loved, and the ability to take that dance and adapt it into pop and R&B the way he did was, you know, that shit was unheard of. Like that, and see when people talk about somebody being like, they were trying to say Chris Brown had a good sense to shut that shit down, but you know, the young people that ain't know no better is trying to go, Chris Brown better than Michael Jackson. No, he's not in a million years. You can't
Even Chris Brown will tell you it's a different stratosphere, yo.
You can't reach what these people have done.
Yo,
you can't. We can never reach
to this very single day. Thriller is the greatest music video production of all time. Period. Hands down.
Bro,
everything you can do, there's nothing greater than Thriller.
Let me show you how great Thriller is. Thriller is so great that I had a bar in Augusta, Georgia about 11 years ago, right? It's called Flow. And I had people doing the Thriller dance at that point. You do the whole shit. I had to do the whole shit. Because I memorized it when I was a kid. This is so great, right? That because I had like 30 people outside the front of my bar doing a Thriller dance on Halloween, people was like, I became the man. And I was able to pull that off. That's how seriously important that video is. Like, listen, what people don't understand is that some milestones can never be reproduced. Some things you can never discover a country no more.
No.
Because they've been discovered. You're not going to discover no continent.
I mean, technically, but you know how some motherfuckers be doing this shit.
Yeah, we know how they are. They ain't discovered to begin with, but you're not gonna never be they ain't discovered shit, but you ain't discovered something people's already there and living. But
right.
But I'm saying like you could never be no cat that traveled from New York by stagecoach across to California in the wilderness of North America, quite literally, and be called a pioneer, a true pioneer. Like you could never do that. Like you could never claim that. You know what I'm saying? Again, you'd have to go to another planet and do some shit like that there in order to achieve that. You can never do nothing that is going to be able to take that from that person. Like that, these certain milestones, the motherfucker got. You can never be Jesus. Like that's you can never do that.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Where you come through, whether you believe in any of it or not, but you come through and you do your 1-2 and you say what you say, and it be so potent. You know what I'm saying? That centuries later, people in mass is worshiping your name like that. Only people can claim it. Like Prophet Muhammad, Sallallahu Salam, Buddha. Like you could never do that now. Like no one's gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
JB Atlanta Music is asking a question. I just need to clarify.
Yeah, without question.
He said, "Are we comparing MJ to Run DMC though?" All right, let me clarify. What I meant by that was that Michael Jackson kicked down the doors to MTV as like the first black artist to Michael Jackson as a pop artist, a black pop artist, opened the door to the rest of the world for other black artists to come behind him, including Run DMC. However, Run DMC for me is that artist that opened the door to the rest of the world, to mass popular culture, the mainstream culture from the rap world, where Run DMC was embraced by white people, the white market, the pop market, the mainstream market, probably before anybody else.
I mean, and if we're gonna be real about it, like JB, not for nothing. Well, number one, no one compares to Michael Jackson in entertainment.
No
one in the world. There's nobody. There's nobody.
I'm not comparing the two of them.
Yeah, no. Right. I don't think that either one of us would dare.
No,
this is crazy, right? But now we talk about Run DMC and the impact that they had, right? There's only one group that you would dare compare them to, or dare to compare to Run DMC, that I think is no two groups. One of which is Kid and Play, right? Because what they were, the things that they done, they actually did break ground that Run DMC didn't break, right? They touched shit that Run DMC didn't touch. You know, meaning to say that not that they did certain shit that Run DMC didn't do. You know what I'm saying? And but
Like, what, we talking about House Party?
nah, not even that. They was on. They had cartoons and they had comic books and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So they popularized shit in 11, and to this day, people will always do that Kid and Play dance like that. They got shit that like they got certain shit that's like iconic, iconic. You know what I'm saying? But the other group that we don't talk about enough that is up there with them, Fat Boys.
Ah, yeah, absolutely.
Come on. You know what I'm saying? Like the Fat Boys is so important. It's such an important chapter in hip hop that we don't talk about.
Important chapter in hip.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
You feel it?
Dun, 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 dun. Can you feel it? That was it.
Right. Yeah, it's like, you know, with the Fat Boys, you know, if you wasn't there, you really
you just don't know. You're not gonna really know, son.
That chapter.
And it's like for people to talk so brazenly about music, and it's like, y'all remember one time because I really love Otis Redding, man. His voice resonates with me, right? I love how he sings. And bless his soul, man. You know what I'm saying? And one day I'm talking to my mother, and I'm like, yeah, Otis Redding, the best singer at that time. I'm trying to wrap up with that shit. And she's like, you don't know what you're talking about. She's like, no, he wasn't. He wasn't all that in them days. He wasn't alive in them days. He wasn't all that. He was, you know, he's good, but he wasn't all that. And I had to receive that because it was like, yo, this is a person that was alive in the streets when his mother was hot to whatever extent he was. Yeah. And I'm somebody coming upon his records after the fact, you know what I'm saying, long after he's dead, talking about he the greatest. He's not from them times.
Now check this out. To that point, and this is why this is important. Context is everything, ladies and gentlemen, especially historical context. Like Brother Malcolm said, happy birthday, Malcolm X.
Right on.
Said, history is best qualified to reward all research. So when you know your history, you do better. Like growing up, you know how, you know, you stay home from school and you're watching TV and you see these commercials where they're selling you like the old school music from the 60s and the 50s and the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they talk about the Beatles as being the greatest rock band of all time. And since you don't know no better, you don't know the history, you don't know that the Beatles' first two albums were covers of Black artists' music from the 30s and the 40s.
Come on.
So you're looking at your creation, not realizing where it comes from. So you don't own it. You cut yourself off from your own legacy. And that's what happens when you don't honor the greats, when you don't understand who the greats were, who opened the door for all of this shit. Another one is Led Zeppelin. Most of their catalog is ripoffs of Black artists from the 30s.
On. And then we ain't not discuss the King, Elvis Presley.
So-called King?
Yeah, you heard? The
Right.
King, you know, the fucking, you know, the King just said fucking clowns. So, but you know, can I say this real quick because the hour's a little late and I'm, you know, it's way past my bedtime.
Man,
I did want to say something else real fast before we wrap things up. Is I wanted, if you don't mind, I'd like to give a shout out. I'd like to give a shout out to your wife, Vita. Yes.
No, Jasmine's my wife. Vita's my producer. She's been on.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I thought that was your wife. I thought Vita was Jasmine. My apologies. I'm sorry about that. But shout out to Jasmine and shout out to Vita. And I'll say why I want to say that is because shout out to the woman in our life, my wife as well, who they by their leave we can pursue this passion of ours all these years unfettered. You heard? Without disrespecting us or laughing at this love we have for this music. And they stand by us. And I think that enough time is not spent, you know, extolling the virtues of the good, beautiful women, whether they be our wives or our sister friends, that go hard for us to help realize this dream that we chase. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to our mother, shout out to your mom, you heard? Because I know how supportive and how much a part of who you are she is, you heard?
Yep, no doubt.
And you know, I think about my mother and how many hours she had to. And she says she wasn't suffering, but that it, you know, me being older now, said she had to suffer. Hearing me play the same beat for hours on end, trying to figure out where to put a snare in or a hi hat, or trying to write this verse, or playing the same song over and over again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And just enduring that shit because she love her baby boy and he happy and he doing what he love, and that's what it is. And helping me, there wouldn't be no UMCs without my mother because she was the one that ponied up the money for us to pay for the lawyer to be able to get shit done. And you know, I'm so grateful for the sisters and the women that put that effort in, that believe in us that way, and I think that, you know, without, you know, I am because you are. You know what I'm saying? I am because they are and they exist. And I've been allowed to be at 55 years old, still chase my dream. I have this event I do every year called Beach and Bars Barbecue. And this year was a milestone. We had a record number of people in the house. It was amazing. Artists and all sorts. It was just beautiful, man. It was just wonderful. It's fourth year. And, you know, the first year started, and then it was March 18th.
You should remind me of something, though. Not to cut your wisdom. I'll let you
Yeah,
finish.
yeah, no, I'm saying, but even that, you know what I'm saying? Even that, you understand? Like, you know, and even that, when you think about it, man, like, I think about when you came to the Iron Step of hip hop and that you was flanked by,
right?
and how you was flanked by these two sisters that came through to just support you.
Get them girls.
No, it was two sisters that came with you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I heard that. Cause you know, I'll be looking at the video every now and then nostalgically, man. You know what I'm saying? And we all know that they cook the food for you and stuff like that. But that notwithstanding, man, you know what I'm saying? We you know, we just think about, you know, even back then, you know what I'm saying? And probably long before that, you know, my wife been a key for my daughter, been a key component in my successes in life, right? And so I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge that, man, because, you know, I was watching the show. I've been watching the show the whole time that it was on, aside from when I got on, but I was watching it since I logged on and listening to it while you get started, and just hearing y'all, you know, hearing you doing your thing, and then, you know, calling to Vita to, you know, that, yo, bring this in for me and that, you know, and it's like, you know, what a blessing, man. Like, what a blessing to have people in your life that believe in you. You know what I'm saying? I think that we don't spend enough time. Like, it'd be so artist centric.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing that gives off the wrong impression about what's going on and what we're doing, is that people get they get the experience that it's just us, and that whatever's being done is because of our singular greatness. And what's being done is being done by the leave of people who love us and appreciate us and support us and believe in us and work hard for our cause. And it is because of those things that we can do great things like what we've done tonight. I think this has been a great conversation. I had a great time talking with you today. You know what I'm saying? Is, you know, and I'm happy for it, man. And I'm happy for the people that make these things possible for us. I just wanted to say that real quick.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, I appreciate that. That's love. That's love. I just reflecting on the memory and shit, you know, before we, you know, you got to witness actually 24 hours of peace from the very beginning.
Yes, sir.
In terms of, even before there was a concept of a 24 hours of peace, the work that was being done specifically in the North community, right? For the love of it. And, you know, like, there was no, promise of anything being, it was just, we was doing the work.
Yes.
Right? everything from the book Hip Hop Nation, Willie Lynch's Newest Slave by Philip Muhammad. You and I were writing the forward on that.
That's
And
right.
that book, way ahead of its time, considering the climate over the last, say, 4 or 5 years and the conversations around Kanye West and like there's certain topics that like goes into, and it's like, damn, we was kind of on that in early 2010 in book form, right? Doing the work in the Newark community, everything from book fairs to town hall meetings, and then the energy of that, the spirit of that turning into 24 hours of peace, and then what 24 hours of peace has become, thanks to the mayor of Newark, New Jersey. But that hip hop activism, that spirit that was in the late 80s that inspired us, being reminiscent of what was happening in the 60s that inspired that movement. You know, it's like we gotta step that up in a much bigger way. There's a lot of doors that are open to us as Black people that we open. Nobody let us in. We had to kick the door down. And
Every door we walk through, we had to every door we walk through.
Like I'm really big on, you know, organization, people coming together to play a part in something greater than, and doing that, like using that Newark 24 hours of peace as like a example of what I'm talking about.
You know, I want to say that I don't know if you noticed, but the last time I ever did any kind of public speaking as NY Oil was at the
event. Call for action.
Yes, and that was at in Newark.
In Newark at
before Ross Baraka became the mayor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
big shout out to Philip Muhammad, Martin Muhammad.
Yes. Have you ever? When the last time you spoke to Philip Muhammad?
I haven't spoken to Philip Muhammad in years.
Man, I got to put an ear out for him, man. I love to catch up with that brother because
absolutely.
He said some things to me on a like just person to person when we was building on certain shit that was I can't even get into it because I fuck around and start crying on this motherfucker. It was that heavy. Like it was just heavy shit that was really, I was having a hard time, and he just said some heavy shit to me that was like, wow, man. But so I pray that brother's in good spirits and good health and life is decent for him, man. You know, at the very least, you heard. But yeah, it was the last time I did public speaking as NY Oil from the music perspective, and it was the last time I made music as NY Oil, because that experience made me realize the very serious need for I felt like, yo, you know, I don't want to be no dude that's no applause dude, right? Where I'm saying things that sound good politically or sound good as catchphrases and calling lines when people need practical application of the rhetoric. Like how you apply it. How do I go home now after I heard you say this shit and you got me fired up? How do I go apply this, you know, in my everyday living that I can make a difference in my life, in my family's life, in my community's life? And it was actually that made me stop. And I ended up working in the school system subsequent to that. I ended up being a sub-para because I wanted to see what was going on in the school system. I ended up opening Black businesses because I wanted to see what was really happening with Black business. You know, I bought my own house and renovated it because I wanted to see what was up with, you know, gentrification. How do you combat that? I started gardening and growing our own food in our backyard, you know what I'm saying? Because I wanted to see what it meant to have your, you know, to build your own food and try to be off the grid, you know, and you know, that was the genesis. It was the closing of a chapter for me, but it was the beginning of a different one because it made NY Oil real and not just some dude that's just talking, you know, or like somebody, you know, people damn near thought I was a lunatic for saying what I was saying, but they respected it because it was some timely shit and it needed to be heard. And I was standing up for my people the best way I personally knew how. And I also want to say while I'm at it, man, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if I've expressed this to you, but I do appreciate that. You're probably the only person in hip hop that is honest enough and, you know, and self-assured enough, like that you solid on your own view, who you are, that acknowledges the impact of the work that I was doing and how that in part made coming back and touching that mic after the record labels was done and the fame is slowed down and all that shit, the recognition slowed down, and you see one of your contemporaries doing his one, and you're like, yo, man, let me pick my shit back up. I'm gonna get on this shit. You know, there's a lot of people that know that this is true for them as well. And because it ain't in vogue to say that, they won't acknowledge it. But of all of the people that I know for a fact that I directly influenced to get off their ass and get to work, you is the only one that takes a moment to acknowledge that, not just on the show, but you've said this and made this public knowledge on more than one occasion, whether I was present or not. And you know how you got ears in the street, so you know what niggas is saying. And I know that that was something. You know, I always say, a true friend. I don't always say, but it is said that a true friend speaks your name in a room that your name should be spoken in, even when you're not there. You heard. And so I just wanted to acknowledge you and tell you I appreciate you, brother, for
so good.
for being real enough to do that. That's some real shit. You heard.
Nah, man, that's when I didn't know it was you, and I heard these niggas should all get lynched. I was like, exactly, nigga. The fuck is y'all doing? Yo, I got this joint, right? I got this joint called Y'all Niggas.
Yeah.
Right? And it's y'all niggas. I'll send it to you offline, off this show. But another one of my mottos, if they ask you what's wrong with hip hop, y'all niggas. If you ask them what's wrong with black people, y'all niggas. Got another concept called niggonometry. Big shout out to cannabis. But niggonometry is the upside down world where right is wrong and wrong is right. It's the world black people are nurtured in.
Yep.
And we have to survive in a world where right is wrong and wrong is right. And that's a weird place to be. But we got to work through it and kind of right the ship. And when you hear somebody who's speaking that shit, you recognize it. The truth is the truth. Ain't no sense. I ain't no shame in acknowledging the truth. If you're gonna bow down to anything, bow down to the truth.
That's right.
That's the truth.
That's right.
And we try to move forward and live in truth. And there it is,
There it is, King. You know what I'm saying? So I'm way back. I don't even be seeing 12, 13 at night. I don't even know what that is. I'm trying to figure. We in tomorrow.
I'm 35 years old till 10 o'clock.
Oh my goodness, I appreciate you having me on the HAKIM and having me as a guest. It's been a real pleasure. And shout out to you, and thanks for allowing me to address a couple of things that I felt like that I was able to say, because there's a component of KRS. One thing that we didn't talk about that a recent time thing. But, being able to articulate it the way I'm able to articulate it today, I think brings a level of clarity for those that may not have understood that particular situation, which I'm not going to give no light to, because it's not, I just don't take it serious enough to. But, again, that energy is, being in the air. But I appreciate that. And thanks for taking a moment to have me on, man. This is dope. I had a great time, man. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'm sure at some point we'll do a part 2.
Yeah. You know how we give it up.
Yeah, for sure. All right, my G. I'll holler at you.
My man. Talk to you soon, King.
Peace.
Peace.